Hello, everyone, and welcome to the vast and ominous comic vault. It is I, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is Austin, the Day Ghost. And tonight we're going to talk about something brand new, which is kind of unusual for us, although we've been doing a little bit better with that this year, Austin. We've done 2 whole arcs of Skybound Transformers. Thanks for bringing us that. Austin's been keeping up a lot more than I have, so when it's his turn to pick, he's been bringing sometimes really recent things, and sometimes he makes us go all the way back to the 70s. It really just depends on his mood and how he's feeling about things. That's why he's wearing Doctor Strange to a Batman fight. That's
exactly. Well, I was between 2 things for this one, but they both would have been new. Which was this, and I knew everybody wanted this, so that's why that kind of swung that vote. Or Riddler Year One was the other one I was thinking of.
Oh, and I'd like to read that too.
Definitely at some point we should do that, yeah.
And we don't have to wait all the way until next Batman. There's nothing stopping us from doing Batman things.
Oh, yeah, no.
Out of season, and we also haven't gotten quite as much Batman stuff done this month as I would have liked. I mean, the whole first week we didn't really do anything, although I've done 3 extra 89 commentaries for anybody that's been around Sunday nights or subscribe to Patreon. Quick plug for that. But we've done a few things, and tomorrow night we're gonna go all the way back and watch the first Batman adaptation ever, and I've never sat all the way through it. We're gonna watch the 1943 Batman serial in its entirety if we can get through it. It's like 3.5 hours long. I don't know if we'll get through all of it, but we'll watch at least the first half of it and see if anybody is still with us at that point. But that'll be a weird one. It's got crazy Japanese stereotypes. It's an odd thing to look at now. I know that's the first thing people will mention when we do that. But it's noteworthy because it's the first adaptation with Batman, and it added some things to the canon to the mythos that we kept forever. That's your first Batcave. That's the first time Alfred looks like that. There's some interesting things there, and it'll be hopefully a lot of fun to do a watch party on. So anyway, quick plug for that. That's what we're doing tomorrow, and then Friday, Austin and I are doing a Batman Forever commentary for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. So we've got 4 shows this week, and hopefully an 89 commentary on Sunday. And one of these things will not be like the others, because then on Thursday we're going to review Planet of the Apes, our other exciting Bat-May special event, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, one, I just had this thought while we're throwing stuff out there. This isn't like a new show, but I guess we should just throw out too that Peter David just passed away. And,
yeah,
it's super sad.
Thanks for bringing that up.
I think it's the first video that we've done since that happened. But
that's true. Yeah, and I'd like to do something in tribute for him. The timing is really interesting because we just last week reviewed the first volume of his Hulk run. Mm-hmm. It was nuts. We just spent 2.5 hours talking about Peter David, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it was when I saw that
super
news,
tragic.
I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up.
I should throw that out just so that we can quickly mention that since it's the comic show.
No, absolutely. So yeah, we definitely want to do something with that. We're just losing everybody.
I know. Even there was a Punisher artist that died today. I saw.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to remember his name. Todd Smith, I think something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know who that is right off.
But yeah, anyways.
I'm not the biggest Punisher guy. But
yeah.
So we'll go ahead and get into this. Absolute Batman, we're going to primarily review the official first volume, the first 6 issues. This is so brand new and hot off the presses. The trade's not even out yet. I read this, of course, in digital. I read most things in digital these days. But you know what? I guess I don't mind getting right up front and saying, this is something I would like to buy in some shape or fashion, Austin. I think I do want a hard copy of this at some point. I wish that I had been a little bit less skeptical of this and at least gone ahead and bought the #1 when it came out for my collection, because that's $35-40 on eBay now, and I really don't want to pay that for it. So I don't know if I will end up with a copy of it. So alas, but maybe I'll buy the hardcover because it looks pretty.
Yeah, I think Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman are all coming out like end of July to August
Okay, cool.
for their first trade.
I wasn't even sure what the timeline was. I just noticed on Amazon that it was set for pre-order. So,
I think that's what it is, but I could be wrong.
but yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. So, primarily the first 6 issues, like I said, that's the first trade, or what will be the first trade, and then we also went ahead and read the next two. As well, because those are out, and that is a two-part Mr. Freeze story, but certainly continues the overall narrative, and there's a couple of somewhat major revelations in that that I'm sure will inform our discussion. So I'm glad I went ahead and took a look at those as well. I just looked at this today, so it's fresh with me, but I skimmed it back over as much as I could, Austin. I wish I could have spent a little bit more time with this, but we'll see how well I'm able to articulate my thoughts with this. I'm kind of coming right off of taking a look at it. I've been hearing really great things about this whole line, and not just from Austin, but really unanimously. Everybody I've heard mention this has been like, yeah, that absolute stuff is actually quite good and a lot better than anybody expected, and it's really kind of knocking people's socks off. Austin and I were making fun of all of this hard when
I still make fun of it though. It still just is the nothing verse.
yeah, it's still funny, but when we first heard about this stuff, it was funny to me in the sense, Austin, that it seemed kind of like just so desperate for new ideas that every character and universe had to just be the opposite of what it's supposed to be, and that was the premise, that was the gimmick, and I'm like, okay, what is the point of that? It's like you're gonna have Batman, but he's not rich. You have Superman, but he's not gonna have any powers or whatever it is. I haven't read the other books yet, so Austin will have a different perspective than me on this because he has been keeping up with with some of these. Or have you read all of this?
I've read all of them. I'm fully caught up. I just caught up with Superman.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'd read all the number ones by the time Green Lantern came out, but at this point, I'm fully up to date on
Okay,
all
cool.
of the Nothing Verse
Because
books.
when you first suggested we review this, you had sampled all the number ones, but you hadn't read the rest of it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because that was at first I was like, I'll at least try the number ones. Like I'll see kind of what all of them look like, and um, to varying degrees, I was like, I will keep like I will continue each of these and see how they continue, and if they get like better for some of them, and like for others, if it just maintains.
Yeah, what's really interesting about this is, and I feel like a massive hypocrite with it, Austin. Now that I've read this, I, in some ways, this is kind of what I've been asking for forever from DC. Is give us a new alternative continuity that is still in line with the spirit of these characters, but fresh and new, and isn't like New 52 where it keeps anything in a bubble, and where you can really start fresh with it without having looked at other things or ever caught up with the millions of things that we've had in the past. And Earth One years ago scratched that itch, but they were graphic novels instead of monthly series that just didn't come out often enough. And so when we got one, it was to varying degrees really exciting. The quality of those is real kind of broad. Some of them were great, some of them were not so great. And even within the same series, some of them were pretty good and then were not as good later. But what I always wanted to see something closer to the Ultimate Universe for DC. And then when they announced this, I went, well, okay, they're sort of giving us that, but it sounds like they're trying too hard. Where it's like, what's a word that sounds like ultimate? I don't know, absolute. And then they call it that, and I'm like, well, I wanted you to do something sort of like that, but I didn't want you to just straight up rip it off, right? And then I read this, and at least just based on this, just going with Batman, I actually really like the title for this book. I don't know what it's going to be like reading the others, but it isn't ultimate. Like it's that idea of give us an alternate continuity, and also I guess the other books aren't really crossing each other very much yet. I. Is that right, Austin? Like, are there
Yeah.
any references yet from one book to another?
there might be like a reference, but off the top of my head, I don't think they've really referenced each other at all. And they're all
Wow.
also in different parts of the world, pretty much. So they're not really like impacting each other.
And I'm sure eventually they will, and I'm not even
Mhm.
complaining when that happens. Of course, I don't need this to be a universe and a multiverse, and I don't need it to cross with mainline. And mainstream comics are so desperate for readership, that's inevitable. Like someday they'll do.
Right.
There's no way they don't ever do that.
I think it kind of spawns out of that because I think there was like a big event, and I think Darkseid like creates this universe, and like
Oh,
that's kind of the.
really?
Yeah, I remember there
I didn't
was
know
this
that.
big cover, and they had like the main Trinity on one side, and then Darkseid, and then the Absolute Trinity on the other side. But I've never read
Okay.
that event, so but I want to say that's called like Absolute Power. Like I think Absolute's even in the name of that. Um,
Interesting. Well, that might explain a reason that Snyder kind of has some tongue-in-cheek references to this as an alternate universe here and there. Just this idea that there's uh, there's some other universe that looks more like what we're used to with Batman. There's a couple references here and there where you'll have, like for instance, in a flashback, Thomas Wayne says like, maybe in another world I did become a surgeon, and I thought about doing that here, but I didn't do that. And Bruce Wayne has a reference like that too, where it's like, in another world maybe I did this, but I'm actually doing this. Uh,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
I thought
exactly.
that was cool, and just acknowledging that this isn't mainline continuity and that it's not the definitive version of Batman. That's one of the things that really won me over with this, is that it's supposed to be an alternative. But knowing that this spawns out of mainline continuity, that's, I don't know, maybe more clever, or at least I don't know. It makes sense that there's a reference to that, but it would work totally without that too.
Yeah, and I think each book kind of takes that as an idea and runs with it in a different perspective.
Hmm.
Like you'll have something like Wonder Woman, which is different, but is probably the closest to just being like main traditional Diana, like in personality and whatnot. But then you'll have Martian Manhunter, who's like a completely different concept, basically, where he's a CIA agent, and there's a Martian that like lives in his brain,
Oh,
and
cool. Yeah,
it's very like cerebral.
I wasn't sure what the pitch was for that, but the art looked really psychedelic and crazy.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm excited to read that. So yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to start with this before we get into the synopsis and dig our teeth into the story with this, and just what exactly the reinvention is for Batman. Is just talk about like the what if and the elseworlds of it all, like where this kind of falls between those ideas as an alternate universe, because I feel like it's very much somewhere in the middle of all of that. I was expecting much more of a straight up, like I said, kind of ultimate universe with this, and it's a flat out reinvention. It's a complete reimagining, but isn't I but doesn't do what a lot of kind of wild reimaginings will do with Batman, where we'll just have, like with Elseworlds things, uh, where you'll get basically just Bruce Wayne and maybe a couple of characters, and then everything else is made up, or occasionally there are references to things, but a lot of it is unrecognizable. And then the other side of that is something like White Knight, where it's uh, or Telltale Batman, where it is pretty reimagined, but we're not going too far with the toys in the toy box. Like, characters will more or less get to where you expect them to, and they might start from different places, but like eventually you'll get there. This does kind of a mix of those things.
Yeah, and you don't see it as much because it's Batman, but this is like a world where you can reinvent what the power set is too. Like it doesn't, you're not even held to
Okay.
that.
I guess the thing that impressed me the most about this, Austin, I mean, besides the fact that it's just, if I pitched this to you, I think it would sound terrible.
Mhm.
Like I was telling Jason about
Yeah.
this in the car, and he was like, "That sounds awful," and I was like, "Read it, you'll like it." I'm giving you all the details, and it sounds nuts. You're like, why would I want any of this for Batman? And I'm like, I don't, but it works. It's really hard to even describe. Like, my review of this is very simple. I've always said you can make anything work. You just have to make it work, and this is like Exhibit A for that. So many of the things later that will line out with this, I'm like, that's dumb. Don't do that with Batman. I hate this. Not while I'm reading it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's weird. So, like, I'll throw out, like, for me, I think this is the weakest of the line.
Well, that's why I'm
But I don't
excited
think
to read
it's,
the rest of this because I really dug this.
yeah, no, for sure. I don't think it's bad. I think I'm more mixed probably than you are. Like, there are things that I think work for me and there's things that don't. But at the same time, even when it's not working, I'm like, okay, but they did that the best that they could. I'm just not sure about it.
Yeah,
Like, I can't harp on Snyder, or I can't remember the artist, what his name is for this, but I can't really harp on them.
Dragotta,
Yeah, like they'll throw out an idea
Dragotta,
and I'm like,
Dragata.
that's not really for me. But like, I mean, you owned it.
That's my thing. Is like there are things with this that aren't for me. We're being kind of vague right now. There are things with this that aren't for me, but I guess I'm just respecting the hustle with it so much, Austin.
Sure, yeah. No, I think it's
It's
interesting.
some of it
So
is expectations, right? Like some of it, of course,
yeah,
is what you bring to it, and like I had heard good things. I was still really skeptical, and I don't
so
know.
was
It just
I.
it
Yeah,
it just impressed me. It felt really fresh, and again, this might sound a little bit superficial. If this was somehow mainline continuity, if we like reinvented Batman or like tried to get him somehow to where he is here, within mainline, I wouldn't like it at all. It's like it's the fact that it's an alternative and that it really owns it's not supposed to be the main version is a
hmm
lot of why I'm liking it. And like I think there's a lot of really creative background choices, and also I think their Bruce Wayne is wonderfully sympathetic, even though he's one of the most brutal Batmans I've seen. I actually really question if I buy that this kid could grow up and be that brutal. That's if I have a major issue with this, it's that is that like I feel so bad for this kid as a little kid, and I love how literally and figuratively constructive he is. This is a Batman that's all about building. This is like if Lego Batman was a serious character. This is the master builder Batman, and he grows up and he's inspired by his. We'll get to super chats in a minute. Thank you guys. He's inspired by his father even before his father is killed. We'll spoil things with this, of course, but in this version, we actually don't lose both parents, which is interesting. And he is inspired even before his father dies to set an example, as opposed to just to just working a job and trying to fix everything. And so, in a way, this should be the most optimistic this character ever is. And he cuts off a guy's arm in the first issue. And I'm like, I just don't know if I buy that this guy is this brutal.
yeah. I heard somebody. I forget who it was, but I heard somebody say that this Batman is inherently darker than any other Batman because he does all this stuff and still has a mom to come back to and pretend to be like somebody's son. I was like, oh, that is really funny.
And there is. Snyder has a sort of decent explanation or excuse. I think it's almost more of an excuse for it. This idea that in our modern world, where things have become so extreme, like this is such a. I'm getting ahead of myself, but obviously, comics in general, and especially when we reinvent things and like bring them up to date in coming up with a new version for the idea, they tend to be reflections of the world we live in, and the kind of the social political landscape and all of that. This is saying if Batman first existed in 2024 or 2025, he would have to be so much bigger in every possible way to deal with the problems of the modern day, technological, societal, political, corruption, etc., etc. And that's a good explanation for why everything with him is so massive. I still don't know if it's a good enough explanation for the way that he stabs everyone and just and is so precise he misses major arteries and nobody ever dies. It's a little much for me. And it's so bizarre that I'm actually saying I buy the 3-story roving Batcave Batmobile more than I buy stabbing people and missing arteries, but I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think to a degree some of that stuff starts to play a little bit like self-parody in an all-star Batman kind of place, but like the book isn't going there. It's just every now and then it does with Batman's violence. So like some of that stuff I'm like, ah, I don't know. The way I would describe this, because
Yeah.
before reading it, obviously the Nothing Verse was my name for it. It was the Nothing Verse Batman. Having read it, what I've been calling it is now Just Imagine Rob Liefeld created Batman.
Yeah.
Because that is like 100% what their Batman is. But I also think they know it and they own it. And everything else around it isn't necessarily that. Like it is, a lot better written than that, certainly.
Well,
Than like
Dan
a Rob
Schneider
Liefeld
actually
book.
put in a super chat to that
Oh,
effect,
thank you.
$5 super chat.
Yeah.
He says, "Do you think this is influenced by '90s image? That's a take that some people
Yes.
have with how Batman's suit and weapons are handled. Is that a stretch?" No, I don't
No,
think it's.
100%.
I don't think it's a stretch at all. I think it's almost taking that grand, hyper violent, draw too many lines, have too many weapons, have everything massively bulky, crazy muscular, et cetera, thing we were doing in the 90s, and extrapolating it to now, where it's like, we thought a lot of that stuff in the 90s was really futuristic, and we're now in the future it was trying to predict. And so it's like, what does it look like now that we're there, is kind of my read on it.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely trying to be like that kind of like 90s cool too. Um, there, there's like
But
an
it's kind of tongue in
era.
cheek about that, which I really respect with it. It's
Mhm.
weird the line it
Yeah.
walks where like it's really dark and serious, but like somehow I'm not taking it too seriously. It's kind of there's this kind of undercurrent of levity with it.
Hmm. Well, there's stuff like this is in the eighth issue, and it's like a censor thing. But I know there's like the big part where Batman shows up, and it says "knock knock" behind him. Originally, it was supposed to say like "knock knock, mother effer," and DC was like, "No, you have to change that." And they had to change it just to "knock knock." But it's got like that kind of an energy to it. On top of it, where like it is kind of tongue in cheek in that way. And they're having their cake and eating it too, in
So
a way that I think kind of works.
So I want to apologize to everybody for the 23-minute preamble because we need to actually get into the story for a second. But can we talk for a second now that you say that, Austin, about
Yeah.
the kind of censorship of this book? And
Yes,
and
because
I
that's a big issue I
I know
have.
we complain about this all the time, but DC and Marvel both, and DC especially, has never fixed it. So I'm sorry, I have to continue to harp on it, which is make your book for the age group that your book is for, and and also, it's like we always complain about the symbols. Uh, Hiding profanity instead of just writing the profanity. I will never understand, for instance, like with this book, how it's okay to have Batman take his knife blade ears off of his head and have a full page spread where he's slamming them into somebody. We'll see that panel here in a little bit. With blood splattering everywhere. Or, I mean, talk about 90s image. This is like a Spawn panel when you have Alfred with like 19 little batarangs all on his face, bleeding everywhere. But we can't say the F word?
Yeah,
What are
and
we doing? It's like 13 like on the cover it says this is for age 13 plus. Okay, if 13-year-olds are supposed to be able to read it and you think that's all too violent for them, we can all argue about what a 13-year-old can handle. Then ask Snyder to initially, instead of censoring him, you got to have your book. This is how far you can push the violence. This is how far the language can go. And if you're not willing to do that, then you can go write some other book, or you make it Black Label. And I think it would have sold just as well as Black Label. What are we doing?
it becomes a little annoying because you'll hit places where it's like every other, like every third line is like a censored swear word, and it's
It's a
like, oh my
lot.
god, like just let them have, just let them have it. Like, come on now,
I don't like having a Batman that clearly uses the F word pretty,
a lot.
like yeah, pretty
Mhm.
liberally, and we don't actually see it. And that's not me going like, yeah, Batman's using the F word. I'm just like, if that's how he talks, like, let it be in the book. I don't like that.
Mhm. Well, I've just never liked the like symbol censor thing. So
No,
like,
I hate that.
if you do it here and there, like it's whatever. Like Ultimate Spider-Man does it, and I think there's places where it works. It's
No, but
how
it's
much it
constant.
happens.
But also with
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man, it feels like that's a book that, and I wish it didn't have to happen even there, I guess, but that's I don't know. I mean, case by case, and you can argue with Bendis about whether or not like you know there should be an occasional swear word in a book like that. That is for a particular age group that wouldn't have violence that goes this far. And
Mhm.
so yeah, if it's every now and again, I'm not really gonna complain about it. But this is a hard R book that they want to sell to 13-year-olds. I don't understand that. Are there any 13-year-olds reading this? Like, just make it. I don't know why these aren't Black Label. And it feels sort of like what Black Label was for.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is very much looking at like something like a Miller and saying, okay, like this was, what that was for the 80s. Like, how do you do it now? And you get
That's
stuff
true.
like, this is Miller Batman, but even bigger and stuff like that. He's
This
got a
is
similar
everything
color
bigger.
though. That's what I mean.
And
Yeah.
and again, I respect it because thematically it's about that, and I did not expect that. I thought it was just let's make everything
Sure.
gigantic and let's push things way too far. And Snyder goes, well, what would be the in-universe and also like editorial meta comic book reason that he's got to be like? I feel like we're doing both things.
Yeah.
I feel like we're sorry, I'm getting into analysis already, but I feel like he's simultaneously going, on a story level. This is how far Batman has to go to be effective and to be noticed. And he's making a meta commentary about how we've just done Batman so much that the only place to go now is either really big or really small. And he's making a case for making it gigantic and like absurdly so, and he just owns it so hard. You know what it makes me wonder? It makes me wonder if Jim Gordon rabbit ear mech robot Batman could have worked if only it wasn't mainline continuity. Like I kept thinking about
Maybe. Yeah.
Snyder's other Batman stuff that I think is really freaking stupid and going, why am I liking this? It's got a lot of those hallmarks that are kind of dumb. But in this context, I'm liking almost all of it. Why
Hmm.
is that working? This reads like a Snyder creator owned book. Like I mean, you say just imagine Rob Liefeld. It's also just imagine Scott Snyder inventing Batman. Uh, and also, I'll say I was thinking about the Stan Lee thing all the way through this, and I was going like, oh, that's what they thought they were doing. Like the just imagine Stan Lee creating this thing and this thing and
Yeah.
this thing. This is absolutely like that. And what I meant to say earlier is it just feels, despite the fact that so much stuff is like really, really reinvented and different, it feels authentic. It still feels really Batman. It doesn't feel like we went so far, it's just some other character. But it also feels like it's simultaneously if Snyder invented the character in some ways, at least the way he's writing it, the way he's approaching it. But there's this real credible. Sorry, I'm talking too much.
No, it's okay. No, I was just gonna say, like, I agree with that completely. My thing and why like it kind of lowers it is just like I said, it's not really necessarily for me, but I respect that he does it as well as he can, even though it's not an idea that I'm super into. So it's like he kind of wins me over in that in that way. Maybe not like fully to a degree,
I
but
need you to explain to me why I like this, because I don't understand it. Like you said, Rob Liefeld. You know who else this reminded me of a lot?
who's that?
Mark Millar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was having a lot of Millar with this, particularly. This is funny because Millar's not an artist. There are some panels here and there where I was like, Millar would have told an artist to do that.
Malaya definitely would have had some of the more graphic stuff, like Batman stabbing someone in the eye.
There's
Yeah,
stuff like that that
absolutely.
feels so juvenile, but the tone of it's not the like like thematically it's handled in a really thoughtful way. Can I just say I love this origin like a lot,
Sure.
like a
Yeah.
lot, a lot.
Mhm.
I like the bats coming before everything. I like having the Wayne murder happening in a zoo. I
Mhm.
in like the ways in which it's almost the original Wayne murders, but not quite. Like it's still Joe Chill, but it happens in a zoo for some reason. I never figured out why he was there.
Mhm.
I don't know. I
Just to shoot
missed
at the zoo.
something.
There's a lot of people there.
Do you think we're sorry I'm jumping around? Do you think we're gonna retroactively come back and have a concrete explanation for why Joe Chill kills him, or did I miss something and it's already in here?
I mean, you could, because they are kind of dancing around that conversation between Bruce and Joe Chill.
Oh, that's true.
So it could be something. I just assumed, like, you go to a zoo, there's a ton of people there. Like, if Joe Chill is just like a mass shooter, that is just a place that, you know, people would be in.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was targeting Thomas Wayne or if he just killed
I
whoever he could
don't
get in that
think
room.
so.
I wasn't sure.
My
But you're
assumption
right.
was just he just kills everybody that's just
But
there.
we are ramping up to some kind of reveal with that.
They are definitely ramping up to something with that. So it could be, like, oh, I went there specifically to kill Thomas Wayne. I don't know. But just reading it, that was kind of the assumption I had.
Batman with a friggin' battle axe, that is very Rob Liefeld. And that's also real Todd McFarlane, too. I want to see.
This is a universe where Batman's head could just shoot off and hit somebody.
Absolutely. I want to see this Batman mixed with Spawn. That's the only crossover I want with this, is Spawn. He'd be perfect for that
I
universe.
will I will say though, this is a Batman that could hang with the Justice League. He's giant. He's already the Hulk.
Oh yeah, that's true. You wouldn't even have that problem of how does he compete with them? Why would he even be there?
Mhm. He's like 6 tons of muscle.
It's absurd. And I don't know if you had this. I feel like when he's not wearing the suit, he's not that big.
No, I still think he's huge. He has this funny thing when he's just Bruce
There
Wayne,
are
where you
panels where you see the big arms. I think it's just the
yeah,
face shots where I'm like, that looks like a small guy. Oh, he's
he's got like a
huge.
small face on a big head, and it's really funny. It's almost like a Tim Sale Superman thing, but
Oh
like
yeah,
to like
absolutely.
the nth degree. Yeah,
He's a he's a Goomba from the live action Mario Brothers movie.
yeah, exactly. Oh, Bane. I don't know if you've seen the design for Bane in this world. He literally just is a Goomba
Is he really? I think
because they
I'm
made
gonna.
him even bigger.
That's the very next issue that's about to come out. I think I'm gonna wait and be surprised and see what he looks like. I don't think I want to look at that
Yeah,
yet. I'm excited for their Bane though.
I gotta say though, I have so much respect for Snyder. So they were like revealed their Bane design, and the original designer for Bane was like, "Oh my God, that's an abomination. I'm not a fan of that design." And Snyder called his Bane arc Abomination.
That's amazing.
I have a lot of respect for that. That's really funny.
That's quite a play. I love
Yeah.
that. And you don't think there's any chance that it was a coincidence?
I don't think so because they revealed it like maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. Like they revealed it a little bit ago. Like it would have been enough time that he could have changed that.
That's so good. No, I guess this is just gonna keep being my review. I'm gonna have a hard time not just repeating myself with this, Austin. I don't like what most of this looks like until I'm reading it. Like I saw, months ago. I guess like, over a year ago now, before this book came out, like the costume and the cover for the first issue and the car, and I thought it all just looked dreadful, and I still don't like it except when I'm reading it. And I don't mean like begrudgingly, like, well, the story's good. It's like, no, while I'm looking at the book, I love all of it. The car's awesome, the suit's cool. I like the stupid rectangular bat while I'm reading it, but I'm not going to put a poster of it up. Well, I might. Because it'll remind me of this book that I like. But, like, I guess I'm having exactly what I had with, like, the Tumblr and the Batman Begins suit when I first saw those, because I didn't like that, and then I saw the movie and I'm like, well, it looks good in like the context of this, but I'm having that even more with this. But like while I'm reading it, I love these designs and I really like this art, but I
Yeah,
shouldn't in a vacuum. It's all stupid.
yeah. With Superman and Wonder Woman, there was choices about their designs where I was like, I don't like that. Like, there's a thing with Wonder Woman where she's got like a big kind of like tribal tattoo, and I was like, I do not like that. It's one of the coolest things in the book when you find out about it. It's amazing. Um,
They are
with
just really
Batman here, like,
proving don't judge a book by its cover with this
yeah,
whole
with Batman
thing.
here, like, I don't know that they really won me over on the square bat symbol thing, but it's like whatever. But like the Batmobile, I agree completely. Like, it works with his background where he's a construction guy and it's a souped up construction vehicle.
I
Like
love
it's just part of the take.
that whole take,
Yeah.
yeah, and the idea of having a Batman that comes in the day after missions and he cleans up his own mess and he fixes property damage because he's a an engineer. That's so cool. And I don't know, that whole thing spoke to me a little bit because like I'm married to an architect, and so my wife talks about that world in engineering and stuff quite a bit. And there was something just really neat and kind of visceral about starting Batman in that place. And also, I feel like I would usually have this knee jerk reaction where you reinvent Batman and he can't be a billionaire anymore because we have too many people that complain that Batman is this rich guy that just goes out and beats up poor and homeless people every night, and it's a real modern kind of take to go. Let's take the wealth away from him so he's more sympathetic. In the context of this, it felt like it was just a take. It didn't feel ideologically or politically motivated at all. It's just, and maybe it is, but I don't care if it is because it didn't read that way in the book.
Yeah, and I think it helps too, like once you see what the other takes are, you'll go, oh, okay, no, that's just in line with like what everyone's kind of doing to a degree, with at least with the Trinity. In terms of like changing their backgrounds. Uh, so there's a big thing that we do now where like a lot of the times, I don't know if it's just that people think it's too silly, but we've kind of taken away the like world traveler thing with Batman where like he travels the world to do his training. I think this is one of the better examples of having him stay in Gotham, where he like gets the lay of the land first, where he volunteers like with the city and like in construction and in like the sewer system, like just kind of like all these different sections of Gotham, and he like really gets an understanding of the entire city. I think that's a great reinvention.
Well, and part of the reason it works is because it's kind of, yeah. I think one of the reasons I'm loving this is because it's not deconstruction, right? Like it's more in some ways like flipping the script and then just kind of mixing up the toys in the toy box. I
Yeah, I
where
guess Snyder had his deconstruction. Now he's reconstructing his own Batman.
and again, literally, Batman is constructive. I think that's so cool. But this Batman. So usually, what we'll do is we'll go. Bruce Wayne has enough resources that he can find ways to seclude himself where nobody will see how he's getting his tendrils all through the city, and he can have like little bases everywhere, and he knows every inch of the city, and he's got stuff stashed all over the place. This does the same thing backwards. It goes the other way. It goes, nobody knows who this guy is, and he's brilliant, and and I mean, like, maybe it's kind of the obvious thing to make him real Tony Stark like, where we just go, he's a genius engineer. But he has to be that brilliant to do what he's doing. And I like that, like, that's his initial skill set, as opposed to he's he's able to, like, build his body and his mind, and how does he do all this technological stuff? He's got an Alfred, he's got a Herald, I don't know. This version, like, starts from that. He does all the tech first.
When he's got, and this is a thing that it hasn't won me over on yet, but it could. His whole like friend group thing, where he's friends with like 5 of his major villains, and they all kind of represent a specific method of training, which we then get more into in 7 and 8.
Yes.
Where he's friends with the Riddler, Killer Croc, Two-Face, Penguin, and Catwoman. I think it's all of them, yeah. And they kind of each represent a different piece of Batman and how he was trained initially.
And it suggested that he kind of maybe took advantage of them a little bit in learning all these tools and tricks from them. And he obviously like cares about them because they're childhood friends, and he didn't have that when they were children. But his dad died early enough that he could have flipped that pretty quickly and started going, okay, what resources do I have? So I don't know, man. I'm finding myself so won over by nearly every aspect of this. I loved that whole thing.
I think for me, I just have to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it actually won me over more on it with 7 and 8.
Okay, it was nice that they were like kind of addressing more stuff with them.
Well, and because I thought I knew where it was going, and I was not excited about it, and then it turned out that's not what it was doing. But I can mention that in a second. But I get, if certain things never existed, some of this would be would kind of go over my head, and I just wouldn't care. I lately have been really excited about projects that look at bad things and go, how could we take that idea, which on paper seems awful, and actually make it work? And this is taking a bunch of stuff Gotham did and going, how could it actually reasonably work? And so it's almost like it almost only works as adaptation. Like, I don't know if I like Batman's best friends with a bunch of his villains in the past. That feels like such a CW idea. It feels like such a TV idea. Except I had to live through 5 years of a crappy TV show kind of doing that and not doing it very well. It's not exactly the same thing. It's not like Bruce Wayne was friends with all these people, but he knew them all early, like when he was younger, before he becomes Batman. And it's kind of that Smallville thing where he does a lot of Batman things before he becomes Batman. This book does all of that. And it makes a case for it. And that's one of the reasons that I've come to love My Adventures with Superman so much, because that show goes, here's really dumb ideas from Smallville and BVS and all these other Superman things, and how do we make that actually work? And then Superman and Lois goes, let's take that bleak unnecessarily sad color palette from Man of Steel and BVS and make a great Superman show that looks like that and show Snyder how it's done. I love that stuff. And so I think that's a lot of why I'm really enjoying that with this. I thought Killer Croc was an odd choice, but
he's basically the first sidekick in Earth One. That's really weird.
I forgot about that.
That's worried about that just as like a world building thing, where it's like now you have like 5 of his major villains like all so connected to him and all in like a similar place. So I'm like, is it going to feel like we're repeating things when like they become villains, or will they kind of all become villains and it's like a Sinister Six thing? Like I kind of just need to see where that goes, to be won over on it.
So I'll take this opportunity to bring up one of the major points out with this, and one of the things that Snyder made me really happy with, which is red herrings. So there are three big places where it looks like he's doing a like new origin for a classic Batman thing, and then he goes, "I no, I'm going to go this other way with it to keep you guessing and making you realize that anything is possible in this universe." So one of them is the idea that Bruce's friends that we know as villains, and I think some of them will be villains and some of them won't, and I think he's going to make you guess all the way through about which ones that will be. But he makes you think that because they all, and I really loved this choice because I didn't see it coming, and because he's taking these giant swings, he's taking these giant risks. I haven't been this happy with Snyder in 10 years. He goes, let's make the audience think that all of Bruce's friends are going to turn on him when he tells them that he's Batman. They all find out he's Batman at the same issue. It was mind-boggling that he did that, because I was like, that's a huge risk. That seems like a thing that could just completely not work. And then you get to issue 8, and all roads seem to be leading to his friends hate him because he didn't tell them that he was Batman, and it was going to be the Lex Clark relationship in Smallville times 5. If only you had told me we could continue to be friends, but now we're mortal enemies because you didn't trust me. That's where I thought it was going, and it turns into, again, we're giving everything away, it turns into an intervention that says that has his friends saying, we're afraid that you're on a suicide mission, and we want to make sure that Batman is about life and not death. And that is not where I thought that was going.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the Batman. It was really cool.
Yeah, I had that thought too. But it's kind of the opposite of that, because this isn't a Batman that ever has a death wish, but you can see why they thought he did.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other two are, and this one got me hook, line, and sinker. Martha's gonna die. Did you have that?
I didn't. I was like, when she shows up and she's still alive, I was like, okay, this is the status quo. Like, she will just be in this book.
That's what I thought too. And then you get to 6, and they get her in the crosshairs with people that have, because we haven't gotten into this yet, but Black Mask has a hit out on all these different people because he's just trying to create massive chaos in Gotham. This is how he destabilizes cities, and he goes, I will pay you X number of dollars to kill all these different people, and Martha Wayne is on the list because she's the acting deputy mayor for Jim Gordon. All of this sounds wackadoo if you've not read this. Yes, Martha Wayne is the deputy mayor for James Gordon. This is how long we've been telling Batman stories. We're to this place, folks. We're to a place where Martha Wayne is alive and working for Mayor Gordon, and it's possible they'll date at some point in the book. That's where we're at.
100% they're going to be a thing.
Absolutely.
Martha's actually my favorite part of this book. I think everything with her is wonderful. Yeah, especially when we get into the flashback stuff with her. I think she's great.
How much did you like that she just gets dropped in next to Gordon at a press conference? You have no idea who she is? And then later, it's Martha Wayne? Okay.
I was like, is that supposed to be Montoya? Oh, no, it's Martha Wayne. Especially because...
so good.
I don't think you find that out till issue 2. I think.
Maybe it's. I forget now. I think it's in 1.
I can't remember.
And we didn't mention this. 1 is oversized. 1's like 45 pages.
Yeah, the Trinity all get oversized ones, and then everything after that's just been regular. But it really helped those three like kind of kick off strong.
Can you remind everybody real quick just what characters they've done for this universe so far? Is it just five? Is it just the Trinity and then Manhunter and Flash, or is there something else that I don't know about?
It's all of those and Green Lantern. Green Lantern's the newest one,
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
and Green Lantern's cool because that's like a very Stephen King premise. It's like Abensur lands and like makes a dome over the city. It's like a small town in
Oh,
like
cool.
Midwest America, and you have like all the human Green Lanterns are people in there. So you're kind of like, oh, like, are they all going to be Green Lanterns, or like only some of them going to be? Like, it's kind of interesting in that way if you know Green Lantern stuff.
I think the reason and I'm gonna sink my teeth into all of this now. It's funny. I haven't been this excited about a big initiative in new comics in a long time, and I should have just given this a shot when it started because it's
The big one you
everything.
have to read next to Superman because I need to know what you think of the origin.
Okay, okay, I'll do that next then. Austin, it's everything New 52 promised us.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm excited about it because I always wanted to see a ground up reboot like that. And I mean, again, to be fair, I wouldn't want this necessarily for mainline continuity for a real long time. It's nice that it's an alternative, but
Mhm.
I guess what I should say with that is because New 52 promised a reboot and then it tucked its tail between its legs. What it's kind of more like is if they'd allowed it's a little bit more like this is if they just allowed the Flashpoint universe to be the universe for a few years. That's what this feels like.
Oh, sure.
Because that also did these really cool reimaginings for characters where it's still like true enough to the spirit of them, but it's just shuffling everything.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, it in a lot of ways it feels like. I mean, we kind of talked about this in the sense of like the just imagine, whoever created it. Um, but in a lot of ways, it does feel like, okay, what are the kind of base things that go into the creation of these characters? Okay, I'm going to just think about that and build like a whole new sandbox.
yeah. And then the other big red herring is Bruce Wayne has $20 million dropped in his lap. He's going to be rich now, or is
Mhm.
it 200? I think it's 200 million.
I think it was 200. Yeah.
And one of the most shocking choices here is Bruce Wayne becomes the Joker from The Dark Knight and
I
just
so
burns all the money. And I was like, that's amazing. And in a book where we've got a Joker in the background who's a master manipulator controlling everything, and with crime who seems to have part of regular Batman's backstory, which is
Mhm.
really interesting, and I'm very curious to see where that all goes. But you were talking about how Bruce is not a globetrotter in this, where he goes around for 10 years and learns from all these different all the people he's supposed to learn from Joker did apparently. So I don't
Yeah, well,
know what we're doing with
he
that yet.
killed he killed Henry Ducard in the League of
He
Assassins.
killed
Yeah.
the whole League of Assassins. They're not here. And then
Yeah. Yeah, they do
Roman
not exist.
Sionis comes in as Black Mask and basically pretends to be Ra's al Ghul.
Yes.
Right? Was that your read on it? Where like he comes in and
It
he,
did
and he
kind of
says,
remind me of Bane in Dark Knight Rises, like in the way that they talk about him, where it's like, oh, he like comes into areas and like destabilizes them.
but
But you're right, like that is kind of the same as Ra's al
well,
Ghul
and you're right.
with that too.
I didn't think about that. He's not that different from Bane and Rises in that he pretends that he's there to help people and give them their control of their city back. He kind of does that. I
Well, I think you reminded me of that too. Like not specifically in that this is what Bane is, but with Ra's al Ghul, you expect like a certain level of like higher class to him, if
yes,
that
that's
makes
true.
sense. While Black Mask in this is very much against that, and he's like an '80s like Miami Vice villain. Like he's right out of like a Punisher Max book. Like he could have been in the Barracuda story.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's like Tommy Lee Jones in Under Siege or something.
Yeah, exactly. And when he's got like all of his like weird henchmen too with black masks, and then his like whole other separate mask thing that's nothing to do with his black masks and the like death masks he has. Like, he's got like a whole thing with different masks.
Yeah, he was wild and kind of terrifying, and again feels like a very Snyder invention. Like in the first place, like I could see Snyder just inventing this character, and he's just
He's
not Black
very over
Mask.
top in a way that I think is really cool. Like he's very extravagant.
Well, and I like how memorable he is because it's really easy in a thing like this to do kind of a throwaway villain for your first arc, and
Yeah.
he feels pretty massive. He's also so big that it feels kind of zero year. Like you can see other things that Snyder's done in the past with Batman in this, but it's a little bit refined. I love Zero Year. You and I reviewed that. It's great, but
Yeah.
I'm suddenly as we're talking about it, I'm seeing like kind of flashes of that again.
Yeah, and if I could lobby like another criticism at it, I do kind of wish that uh this was a little longer. Like I do think we have to like rush some things by the end with him. Like I feel like I don't get enough of a scale of like his mask plot in Gotham just because we only have one issue by that point. Like I did kind of wish it had at least another issue to deal with some of that stuff.
I think the reason that worked for me, and maybe when we have more of this, I'll go back to it and I won't say this, is he's not the mastermind though, because you still have
No,
Joker
and I like
behind
that.
everything. Yeah,
And I like that. I like that Joker's almost like a Blofeld, where he is, doing the Doctor Claw thing behind
it's cool.
him.
And
And I
again,
think
it's neat
that's
because it's
cool.
fresh. I've never seen that with Joker.
Mm. Yeah. Oh, you also mentioned the light thing, like in terms of how he subverts things.
Yeah,
There are so many things in this book that are like so obvious, like world building, where you go, okay, like I know this from Batman. I don't know how I did not catch the obvious setup for the bat symbol, um, or the bat signal, but it hit me so hard.
where we keep talking about the light that I didn't call that either.
And then when
About
it happened, I was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome! How did this totally
Yeah, if you
skip
haven't
past
read it,
me?"
they shine a light where the zoo used to be because they after the Wayne murder they tear the zoo down, which I thought was a little overboard. I wasn't sure I bought that. It's like that wasn't even a major player in the city. Did a lot of people die, or was it just him?
I
I
imagine it was probably a lot of people.
I
Like
was a
I
little
think it was just like
confused
a really big tragedy.
about how mass shooting it was. So yeah,
Mhm.
if it was, or did they say like 30 something? Now that I'm thinking about it,
I think it's supposed to be like quite a few people died, so it's not specifically Thomas. It's just that a bunch of people died. Like this is a big moment in the city that we, kind of
okay.
always remember. Everybody remembers where they were the day that the zoo was shot up, kind of a thing.
That makes sense. And then they keep talking about how they used to every year shine like a memorial light in the sky in tribute to everyone that died, and then this year they're shutting that down and not doing it because of like bureaucratic things with the mayoral campaign, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. It's just politics.
And there's a lot, and you're right, there's a lot of setup for it because there's all this talk about Bruce when he's a kid wondering what they're gonna put in place of the zoo, and then you jump to present day and he's like I'm going to do something with the zoo, and then he gets all that money from Sionis. So I guess we're just working our synopsis into this, but he says uh he's going to, we haven't even talked about Alfred yet. He says we're going to I'm going to take this deal from Black Mask. This is like the ultimate villain asks you to join him story, like, because I've never seen this where the villain says, I tell you what, I will pay you $200,000 to go away. Like I've never seen, or I guess to sort of be part of my whatever, because Black Mask doesn't say I I need you to do anything in particular, does he?
No, it's just kind of here's $200,000. I'm getting out of here. Like,
Yeah, because Batman is really the only thing standing in his way, and Black Mask is just sowing, like we said earlier, he destabilizes cities. He's sowing fear and discontent, and killing lots of people randomly in the most kind of terrifying, sadistic ways. He'll have his minions, like blow up a children's hospital and you laugh gleefully outside of it. Like that's what's going on. So again, the threat feels bigger and scarier and more sadistic than usually with these stories because very often it's just more generically corruption and crime. We do arson a lot in Batman stories. This is straight up pointless domestic terrorism on a massive, massive scale. And I'm really impressed with how Snyder makes me buy that Batman needs the insane giganticness of everything to tackle this.
hmm yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you had this, Cap, but it also reminded me a lot of RoboCop, the way that scene plays,
I didn't
where
have that thought.
that is like your RoboCop gets like obliterated in Dick Jones's office scene, where we'd like take all of Batman's toys for the most part, like we take some of it at least, and like shoot him up a bunch. We light him on fire, kick him off a roof, and now
Yeah.
like the cops are coming, and he jumps into the sewers. It reminded me a lot of RoboCop in that way. It was like, oh, this is the end of the second act of that.
That's a great, but he really takes a beating, but it happens early enough, and he recovers from it quick enough that I kind of for a second forgot about it. Now that you say that, but I think that's just because you and I just did Skybound Transformers, where every 2 issues Optimus Prime gets his ass handed to him.
Well, I think that's like one of those places where I'm like, I feel like I needed another issue because it did kind of feel like with that where I'm like, okay, this is where we are, in RoboCop, and then the next part is just, oh, okay, and now we're going into him arresting Dick Jones with him immediately going for Black Mask on the boat, and I think that was just one of those places where I was like, okay, I needed like one more issue kind of in the status quo where Batman's kind of hurting and on the down low,
Yeah,
and
that's
the city's kind of
absolutely
going to
fair.
crap. But it's just one. Like I'm not asking for it to be a 12 issue thing. I just could have fleshed that out a little bit
Well,
more.
yeah. I, while I was reading it, I didn't feel like there were any pacing issues or like anything was missing, except, tell me if you had this or again if I'm missing something. I I thought there was a whole scene missing with Alfred and his daughter.
That's another place where I'm like, you could have had that more that room to flesh it out. I think
I thought it was a
too.
flashback for a second. I was so confused because I so
Yeah,
so real quick, we'll back off for a second and say Alfred is a secret agent in this. He is one of the most reinvented characters. Although it also feels like a natural evolution of what we've been doing with him lately in a lot of
because we
stuff.
keep pushing that more and more, and then this is like the ultimate push of that, where now he just is like a disgruntled old James Bond.
And so he works for a like covert op CIA type business. It's named finally. I forget what it's called. Um, and I don't think I can't tell if it's British or American or what it is. It's real shady. We don't get much information about it. And I
I
like how
imagine that will tie into something.
it
Like that
will.
will be he will be working for some sort of big villain.
I think so too. Well, and I wonder if they'll turn out to be related at all to the Arc project.
Oh, probably. I assume they will be.
Or if Joker is doing that himself, or like I'm really wondering what will turn out to be the whole business behind that. But
Mhm. Yeah, I could see that it being like some sort of war between Joker and whoever runs that secret agent agency.
but yeah, I'll ask you about the Arc thing in a minute because I'm curious to know your
Yeah.
thoughts on that, and if that idea is too horribly CW to you. But anyway, so we have Alfred. He's a secret agent. He's told to just go observe what's happening with Black Mask and report back, but to engage Batman if he goes too far. And so he ends up going after Batman, and then he ends up really respecting Batman because he is clearly on his side of all of this. And he is at odds with his daughter. They don't have a good relationship. In fact, I think I needed more about that even earlier, in not just in that last issue of this arc. Now that I'm thinking about it, Austin, because we're told that they're just on the outs, and she says he tries to send her a text, and she says, "Never contact me again," and he says, I forget exactly what it is, but something along the lines of, like I should have known how this would work out. It seemed like he had some sort of ulterior motive for contacting her. Was it just trying to get her out of the city? I wasn't really sure what it was, but he contacts her in false pretenses, where he pretends like it's just checking up on her, but he says something to the effect that he's got other reasons for that. And then when you see her later, I'm like, how did they even get on this plane together? I don't know when that happened. So there's a lot missing with them, and it feels like there are scenes that maybe he wrote that he cut. I'm not sure.
So that part where they show up on a plane, because I had the same thing. I was like, did I miss something? And then I remembered, okay, the last time we see her, she's on a train, and there's like black mask thugs walking towards her, and then suddenly she's grabbed from behind by like a silhouette. And in that moment, I just went, oh, okay, she was grabbed by one of the henchmen from behind, and then I realized, like, oh, that's supposed to be like a reveal. Like, you're supposed to think that they grabbed her, but actually it was Alfred.
Okay,
And
I must have missed something.
but it could have
So
played a little bit better.
I didn't realize that was who that was supposed to be.
Yeah, I had to
That's what
think about it
happened
after the fact, though.
in that
I missed
scene.
that initially.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of Transformers, this Batmobile is
Yeah.
just a Transformer.
Oh yeah. Well, it reminded me of the Lotus from James Bond, where it can also go underwater.
It can do everything. Like, it is just a roving Batcave,
Well,
and
and also it's a Bond thing because before he does that, he's like, Alfred, pull this lever, and it's an ejector seat.
yeah, that was great. And that's what I'm saying. It's got this nice undercurrent of levity where that was just a real silly kind of pratfall moment,
Mhm.
and it
Yeah,
didn't
sure.
undercut it. Like, I felt like it fit this material somehow, but I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit more, a little bit of that stuff like here and there. Even some of the stuff with Black Mask was pretty funny, just in a dark way.
Yeah, I
But
think so too.
I think the Liefeldiness of Batman also works in the sense that it's only Batman. Like, the world around him doesn't look like that.
Yes.
Like, Black Mask is a very different kind of design. Like, I've never seen a Black Mask that looks like him, but he looks more like Alien. Like, he's got like the teeth, and then like a big like orb head.
But that's also vintage Snyder.
Yeah, that is true. I just mean, like, it doesn't look as 90s image to me, where I'm like,
Yeah,
Batman
yeah.
almost has like he's almost in a different world of his own.
That's such a great point. Yeah, and that's deliberate. Like,
Mm.
we're really driving home the Batman that's not trying to. I mean, it's almost like, and this is probably the stuff that most spoke to you, Austin. It's almost like uh, Matt Reeves' Batman fighting with Nolan's Batman, because
Sure.
Nolan's Batman wants to clean up the city and not have to do this anymore. And this is the Batman that is the symbol first. And Nolan's Batman ends up talking a lot about being a symbol, of course, but is hoping that he can hang the cape up and he's done enough to be a symbol. And this is more of the Batman that would probably have to keep going. But I really like the initial emphasis, even going back before his father dies, that life is again not just about trying to fix everything, and it's really neat that he is an engineer that can fix things, and he fixes things in the short term to inspire people to be better in the long term.
Mhm.
And again,
Yeah.
that's just a real fresh take.
No, I agree. I will say with the flashback issue, part of me, with my criticism of like needing one more issue, part of me does wonder if you moved that flashback issue to 7, and then you do just have a straight 6 that are this story. I do wonder if that would work a little bit better, but I like issue 4 a lot.
I do too. I think the only problem with moving that is I think thematically, and maybe it's a little heavy-handed, and I've seen Scott Snyder be a lot more heavy-handed. Uh, but I think the place we get to with Bruce's arc by the end of this is driven home a lot more if you have that background. And I do
That's
think you
fair.
kind of
I just
need
wondered.
that. I think you kind of need Thomas Wayne with the speech about how he was almost a surgeon.
Mhm.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, for sure. No, I just wondered with that because it's the only one that like it's right in the middle, and it's not like interacting with any of the stuff that's happening in present day. Like there isn't even really a bookend where we're in present day.
No, you're right. You could about move it anywhere. It could be the second issue. It could be the seventh issue.
Yeah, in a way, it's almost like a 0 issue that's put as number 4.
That's true. You know what though? I think uh, the conventional wisdom for putting it right in the middle is, and again, it's all thematic, but
Hmm.
the first six issue arc is called the Zoo, and uh, the the thematic ideas for that are really embedded in that flashback issue. It's kind of the
Yeah,
heart
totally.
of it.
Yeah, no, you are right. I just wondered if like if you just freed up that room, but like I said, like I mean, you could also just have the last issue here for 6 be 7 and just have
Yeah.
an issue in between. Like it doesn't really matter. I just wondered if maybe with that specific placement.
Okay, but if you put
Mhm.
that issue second to last, then you're going to complain that it has the Disney Plus problem where you do a
Oh, I
you
don't
do a
mean with this
flashback
specifically.
episode right before your climax. So if like this was issue 5 or 6, and then you have the last issue, you'd be like, "Hey, wait a minute, you did that formula."
Oh yeah, I don't mean this being issue 6. I mean if you keep this here and like add just an issue between 5 and 6. But yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I've been on this page for a little while because I just wanted to mention how absolutely bizarre it is that we have a Bibbo Babowski cameo in the middle of this story, and he's just a wrestler here. It's so
And
weird.
possibly dead?
Possibly dead. They're like, we're never going to use
Question
Bibbo
mark?
anywhere else. He's not going to be in Superman.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Uh, so, how did you feel just overall? I mean, and we've already talked some about this with with my appreciating the villains as best friends a little bit more than you and things like that. But just in
Mhm.
general, how do you feel about how Snyder handles uh like juggling traditional Batman mythology and reinventing it and the kind of random things it does, like Arc M instead of Arkham, and like Red Hood is a gang now, and like
Yeah.
there's a lot of he does a lot in the first 6 issues. And somebody, and I'll read these super chats in a minute. Apologies for the wait on those, but somebody toward the beginning, we were maybe even before we started, was complaining about this being maybe a little bit too cheeky with its references, and I had that with maybe a couple of things, but overall I was kind of surprised by liking the Smallville foreshadowing stuff more than I probably ought to. So anyway, what is your take on all of that?
Okay, I'm gonna do like a long detour before I get to the Arkham thing, but we'll get there. We'll put a pin in that one.
Sorry, I threw a lot at you.
uh,
Go ahead.
no, no, it's okay. It's okay. I think the world building in this series is both really excellent and in some places I question it. So you do have like the friend thing where like I'm not fully on board with that yet, but like I'm willing to be won over. You could maybe say it's a little too much to go, okay, here are his five friends, they're all big Batman villains, and then he finds out, okay, here's a list of, I think it's four people connected to the Arkham project, and they're all big Batman villains. Like I could maybe see, okay, like we're kind of dumping too many groups. I could see that as a complaint. But I also really like what we do.
We're also murdering a lot of people early to just get them referenced and get rid of them. Like we did what the Penguin show did in a couple of pages
Now we can never have Magpie in a Batman movie.
we got rid of Falcone and Maroni immediately. And like they're working together in this, and then Black Mass just comes in and kills them both, and that's it. Never again. We're done with them.
Yes, and I liked that a lot because we especially like really love going to Falcone and Maroni, so it was kind of fun. Like, oh, here they are. Ah, screw it, they're both gone. We're immediately jumping into that state where Gotham was the gangsters. Now the costume criminals are coming in. Um, we're immediately there.
Yeah,
And
we're talking about escalation right away.
yeah,
Like
well, I thought it was
Mayor Hill brings that up because he's like, well, we have to, or somebody, we have to go after Batman because yes, Black Mask is doing all this, but he's ramping up because Batman's ramping up. So if you get rid of Batman, you won't have as many problems with the criminals.
yeah. Well, I thought it was a great choice too. In that, I think it's Falcone specifically is like we are the establishment in Gotham. Like both of our families have run it for 150 years at this point, and Black Mask is like, I don't care, and kills them. And his whole thing is destabilizing places. Like he's literally coming in, and even in the criminal element, is destabilizing the city. So I think that's a really cool choice. Um, I think making Gordon the mayor is cool. Again, I love Martha in this. Uh, yeah, I guess like the places with them, like Bullock and whatnot, I think all make sense. Mayor Hill, like all that world building, I think is really good
And
and
it's our
just really
second
natural.
skinny Bullock. It's the one
He's
thing.
like a little heavier. I think he's just kind of like a big guy, but he's not like
He's
fat.
just a big guy. Yeah, he's not super
Yeah,
skinny like he is in Earth One, and I'm not expecting him to at some point like get really fat because he's overly depressed like we did with Year One or with Earth One. But
mhm. No, but he's like a solid like 6'4" at least, and just kind of built. But maybe he does have that like inherent dislike of Batman thing, where Batman immediately shows up and he's like, we got to get that guy.
yeah,
You're like,
and he's got that can we trust him or not thing because he's with Gordon
yeah,
right away, and like we don't have any honest to god sense of corruption yet, but he flips sides real fast when he goes over to Hill, and I'm not sure what that's about yet.
yeah, and I think that's going to be a big reveal because we don't really see that. Like he's on that boat and he's like, oh, I will never betray Gordon. Like Gordon is my man, and they're like, of course you won't. And then the next time you see him, he's endorsing Mayor Hill over Gordon. They're doing something with that.
You know,
Like he's something.
that's a good point. I didn't think of that. I think you're right. But because he's playing both sides so much with sometimes things seem like massive reinventions and sometimes they're like more or less what you expect, but they come from another place, or maybe like we're heading toward that. Do you think we're gonna have any villains that are do you think we'll do that thing where we take a character that usually is just a character and then make them a villain? You know, like Telltale made Vicky Vale a
Oh,
bad guy. Like, do you think we'll do that in this with anybody? I can see that happening. Like
Possibly.
we've
I
got
have
a
one prediction with
we've got a
that kind
Mr.
of thing.
Freeze that's not Victor Freeze, he's just Victor Freeze's son. So like we've already sort of done it a little bit, but not that's
Yeah.
still a Victor Freeze. But I'm wondering
Yeah,
if
'cause
it's
I think he's Victor
possible.
Freeze Jr.
Yeah, because I still think that some of the childhood villains will be villains and some of them won't.
Well, that's what I was going to
Like
mention.
I don't
My
think
one
I think
prediction.
Killer Croc will only be a villain because he's brainwashed.
And I think the Riddler will be like an Ultron thing. I think the Riddler as a villain will be that robot that he's
Oh,
making.
I think
But
I think you're absolutely right about that.
like I think it will be more so that.
And they're playing. What's really funny is they're playing Penguin like basically regular Penguin, but somehow Bruce is still friends with him, and it's hilarious. Like he clearly is a criminal, and Bruce is just like turning a blind eye to it, and he's like. Well, I mean, you're my friend, and occasionally I need an airplane, so I'm just gonna let you keep doing criminal behavior, and it's really funny, and you can tell he is always on the verge of just completely throwing Bruce away as a friend. I
Mm.
and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I imagine, especially if we get like a power vacuum thing, now that Falcone and Maroni are gone, I could see maybe him rising up the ranks that way, and maybe that's how he becomes a villain. But I mean, we'll see. That could go either way too. Two Face, though, Harvey Dent, I don't think he has a single line that is not in some way a reference to the two or face thing, and it's kind of obnoxious.
Yeah, it's obnoxious. That's the thing that was most overly referencing to me because you know how I feel about Two Face Origins. I'm just done with it,
They never do the
and
shadow thing, though.
no, I appreciate that, but like he's got a reference to when he's playing poker and to
I think
Penguin or
he makes
somebody
two
calls him Two Face
references.
immediately, and yeah, there's a reference every single time.
Yeah, and even I think he like there's like a point where he's like, "Oh, that's a coin you can't flip." When he goes to the poker table, he's flipping a poker chip.
Ah, that's
Uh,
true. That's true. But there's stuff that should really irritate me like that in this context for whatever reason didn't. Like in that poker scene, I they say there's no jokers allowed here, and I liked it because Batman's because Bruce is surrounding himself with characters that we usually see as villains, and the one big one that's not there is Joker.
yeah, that one actually didn't bother me. I'm fine with that
I thought that
one.
was cool.
Yeah, I'm fine with that because that just is a thing with what they're playing, and it's like a cutesy reference uh, in a way that's not as in your face. Like, I mean, it is in that we have like a close up of the Joker card, but it at least helps that it's something in that scene. Like the Two Face thing, he's just constantly saying twos and he like, oh, you gotta turn your face, you gotta flip the
Like,
coin.
just
Like
stop
it's
it.
just.
Stop
It's
it.
like, can you have a line that's not a reference to Two Face? He is one that cannot become Two Face now because we've referenced it 8 billion times.
No, I wonder if maybe he'll replace Bullock as the commissioner at some point. I could see that.
Maybe I don't know because he's not a cop. He's like working at the DA office, but he's not the
I
DA.
guess I wasn't 100% sure what he was even doing. I know he's in that world like he usually is, but
Yeah, he's like just like another lawyer, I think, that works at the DA's office.
let me read these couple super chats real fast.
Yeah, go for it.
Apologies for the wait, guys. Austin and I just kind of got stuck in our own world here, and we have a
Oh yeah,
live
we still got like a
audience.
ton of more world building things to talk
I
about. But
know.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I promise I will hand the reins
no,
back
no,
over
it's
to you in
okay.
a minute. Chewbacca's lover,
It's okay.
$10
I
super
put the
chat.
pen in Arkham.
This Arc M. This is selling like gangbusters. People who hate modern comics are loving this. Even the pandering YouTube channels that always bash modern comics are begrudgingly admitting it's really good.
Well, yeah, I mean that's good. I hope
Thanks,
they're reading the whole line because the line is great.
thanks to Chewbacca's lover for always giving us an update on what random people on the internet are saying that I never pay any attention to at all. Appreciate you, man. If it wasn't for Chewbacca's Lover, I would have no idea what people were saying about books.
Yeah, I did know. I think this is like one of the highest selling comics right now, if not the highest.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean that explains why I can't get a first printing for less than $35.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I think all the books are doing really well. Like I think Martian Manhunter started as a 12 issue maxi and is now an ongoing.
Oh, that's great.
Like so I think even stuff like that is selling well. So who knows if it will continue to, but it does seem like people are getting on board this universe.
I wish I started with it. It I'm kind of kicking myself. Bob the Hun $5 super chat. How weird is their take on Black Mask? It's so effing weird. I'm still not entirely sure what the hell he is. Like something you'd read in Morrison. I still say he's something you'd read in a Snyder creator owned book. He's not too far away from other things Snyder's done in his own Batman stuff, or like American Vampire or something.
Yeah, and he just reminded me a lot of like Anna, like Punisher Max stuff. Um,
But yeah, he is super weird, and I love how long it takes before you know what his worldview is. When he starts like spouting stuff about being a pacifist while he's actively murdering a person in the scene, and then and then whoever else is in that scene is like, well, that's a hot take. How can you be a pacifist? Like, well, I'm about peace. See, I destabilize these places, and then it brings about peace. And like I do horrible things, but then there's peace, and that's how I'm a pacifist. And then it's not too long before you realize that he's just creating chaos, and he loves it, and he's just an insane sadist.
he'll
And
just say whatever. Yeah.
it's like if again, it's making a thing that didn't work in something work. You're right. It is Rise's ban because I never know exactly what that character is about in that, except just something helping Talia. And in this, it's like he keeps pretending like he's different things, and then when we get the reveal, he's kind of the Joker, and we
Yeah.
have a Joker that's not going to be exactly the Joker. So it's kind of fitting that he opens with in way a more traditional kind of Joker character, and the mask motif is cool because he's pretending to be all these different things. Like as insane of a take on that character as it is, I and he is like one-dimensional evil in his way, but like I bought it okay. Um he's
Yeah.
he does make sense like as an idea.
No, I love you have that bit. So Batman, he's got like a recorder when he goes to meet with Black Mask, so that people will see what who Black Mask is, and that he's the one that's been trying to destabilize Gotham. And there's a moment where Black Mask's like, oh no, actually, I think it's Alfred. Maybe it's either Alfred or Black Mask. Is like, oh, you really thought you did something here, but you didn't. And they throw Batman off the roof, and Black Mask takes the recorder, and he just speaks to it, and he gives this whole speech about how he used to work on a farm, and he was the guy who had like the rod gun, and he would
Yeah.
shoot the pigs, and he's like, um, the best ones were the ones where it hit a specific part of the brain, that was the pleasure spot, and they would die with like a grin on their face, and just in pleasure, like they would be, kind of happy and in their final moment. And then when he's confronting Batman, he starts to choke him out, and he's like, "You know what? The best ones really are the ones that fought back, that really thought they could, get out of it, but couldn't."
Like
And it's like his entire thing changes because he's not speaking to the people anymore. Because his whole thing in that speech is also, here are the people who are living high above you. Uh, work with us, and we're gonna take back the system.
well, but
And
what it really is, it's even more sadistic and screwed up than that because
Mhm.
it's that false hope idea from Rises taken even a lot farther, and it's
Mhm.
saying not take back the system so much as you can't possibly you can't possibly fight the power. They're so far above you that all you can do is like enjoy a few seconds of pleasure before you die.
You're right. You're right.
And
I
and
misspoke. That
so
is more what it is.
do and that really spoke to me with it of course, as I always say, like not to get too political, but that really spoke to me with how crazy things feel to people these days, where I could see that appealing to people that have lost all hope and feel like they're never going to amount to anything. This story is all about like making something of yourself uh and inspiring people and having actual ambition, and how it might not look like you can do anything but like laze around. You got that whole motif with the lion in the zoo. Like you it might be appealing to just laze around and let someone feed you and give you everything, but as like bleak as things might look, it is worth making something of your life and being somebody, and you still can do that, even as hard as it might look and as hard as it might actually be. And again, I love Bruce's father inspiring him to be that before he's Batman. And really inspiring him to be Batman before he dies, which is really the only way. Sorry, I'm changing the subject for a second, but it's really the only way that I buy Batman being Batman when only one of his parents dies. That's why that works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's very much that kind of false hope thing with Black Mask, because he is the type of people he's talking about. Like, he lives
That's right.
on a fancy yacht and is,
And we keep talking about how nobody can touch him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he is power.
He is that power.
And that's one of those places too where if you had another issue, I think you maybe could have dug a little deeper on this, in that Batman is very much of the people in a way that you could maybe look at like a traditional Batman and say you aren't exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we maybe could have delved into that a little bit more when he's like recovering after that beatdown.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Also with the villain stuff, because you have that with Black Mask, who, like we said, is very different from a traditional Black Mask.
Well, and I was going to say
And
real
then-
quick, he's
Yeah.
like we said, he's kind of like the Joker in worldview, although he doesn't really have a worldview. He's kind of just doing this because it's fun. It's not even because Joker in Dark Knight is trying to prove something to the world that we're not civilized. Black Mask is just taking advantage of people. He's just taking opportunities. This is another, now that we're talking about it, impressive risk to me. He's what you might have thought an absolute Joker would be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he easily could have been the Joker for this.
Absolutely.
He really could have been. I can't believe you said that. He really could be the Joker for this universe, and it would still be a fresh enough take on it. It is fascinating to me that he made that Black Mask and not the Joker.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what his Joker for this looks like, because I don't love modern Jokers. So, like, it could be too far into what I don't like about modern Joker, or it could be a refreshing new take. I don't have enough to go off, but I like that he's almost like a Blofeld kind of figure, just kind of playing behind the scenes.
Well, Dan Schneider put in a super chat and asked for our thoughts on the Joker, and says it's really different.
Well,
and
there we go.
yeah, it is. We don't, like Austin said, we don't know a ton yet. Really, I just have questions. I like the structure of it. I like that he's this looming scary figure in the background. Like, he's your Court of the Owls in this. I never thought I'd say that. Like, you've got a Joker that's running everything that Batman and nobody else really knows about. But you know what? We're dumb though. You know how we were talking about we'll get to the Arkham thing, but we mentioned that, and I was saying that the people that uh, Alfred's working for could be behind that, but no, we know that Joker's behind that because it's the J.K. company.
But I think Joker was the person that Alfred was after when he talks about like
Oh,
I
that's
was
right.
after this person for 5 years.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I do think
true.
that was supposed to be Joker, unless that's going to be
No, it
a
was,
reveal
but
that
I'm
it's
trying to
not.
remember. Did they say that his company was involved with? There's something about the J.K. company, which
The
obviously must
JK
be
company is
Joker's company.
now that you say that because I forgot about that, but you're right. I think JK is the company that's making Arkham.
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought. So
yeah,
if
so I don't know if
Alfred's
they're
after
within that
him,
agency.
then it can't be the agency doing it.
Yeah, so okay, yeah, yeah. No, we just forgot that detail.
Just want to mention that so we didn't look quite as stupid.
Now we look absolutely dumb.
So I love having him in the background like that and moving pieces around because, like I said, I've never exactly seen that with him, and it's so obvious and kind of standard to get to the end of your first issue of a Batman reinvention and go, "Oh, the Joker's coming," and I still don't know what he is yet, and that's kind of exciting. And I just have a lot of questions. It's like, uh, what's the business with he never laughs, but he's got this giant smile? Is it plastered on his face? Like, is he disfigured like he usually is, or is that like just a motif that he has? Like, what is he? We don't know anything yet.
Yeah, and that's something I think most of the number ones do. I don't think they all do. Like, it's not like it's a formula or anything, but I think quite a few of them you get to the end and it's like a little tacked on epilogue where it's like, oh, and here is one of the big villains that you know. Um, the they're out there, they're coming.
Nicholas Bodo, this Joker has more in common with Lex Luthor, the Court of the Owls, or even the Batman's Dark Take, Carmine Falcone than modern Joker, from what I can tell. Yeah, that's true. I mean, really, just any big master manipulator that's behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's so little of him that I don't really have any idea what he's gonna be. Even when you see him at the end of this, he's got like I don't know, dead babies like all on top of him. I don't know what's going on with that.
Oh yeah, what is that? Well, he's gonna be disturbing. I think what I
Which is
like.
what made me think of like modern Joker because we've like really tried to nail in that Joker's disturbing, but
Well, and
yeah,
I will say I do like specifically Scott Snyder. This is gonna be a dig on Snyder, but I like that he is doing a Joker that I is so non-traditional and doesn't laugh because I I've never liked his Joker. I don't think Snyder's Joker is funny. I don't like reading his pages and pages of dialogue. And I'm kind of excited that he has a sort of monosyllabic Joker here so far. And I am curious to see just how far he's gonna push this like literal, much more literal than we usually get. I kind of mirror for Batman with the Joker, where he's not his opposite. I in the same way he usually is. It looks like this Joker has more Batman in him than usual.
hmm yeah, he's got a that like traditional Batman training in him. Like
It's
there
like
could be
he went and trained
even
like
more.
Batman usually does, but then he killed everybody. And I'm like, I'm wondering what other things we do with that, Like, and also, it's
Did you?
interesting to note that usually Batman has all the resources, and the Joker is just this sadistic guy that's able to get people to work for him, and then he gets resources that way. But like we flipped it with Dez.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, did you think the name thing was too cute, or were you fine with that?
Um, I mean, I kind of just have a big question mark with it right now. I feel like I need to know more.
Oh, okay, I just wondered.
I mean, do you
Uh,
mean just with the idea that like he never laughs, so everybody calls him the Joker?
no, but right before they say that, they're like,
Oh, the Jack and
the Jack or Arthur
Arthur
thing.
thing.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
thought you think that was too cutesy.
I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just wondered while we're talking about like reference stuff.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that one. I'm all right with that. Well, what I like about it
No, when they
is
mentioned the he doesn't laugh, so he's the Joker thing, when I first heard that, I was like, oh, it really is the nothing verse. Like it just continues.
what what I well, and that was part of the initial pitch for this. We actually got that in the press release. Curiously,
Yeah, it was definitely early, if not in that. Yeah, I
that's one
remember
of the
that.
only things I knew about this is like, and Batman has no money, and Joker doesn't laugh, and I'm like, everything's just not there. Okay, that's your whole pitch. I don't
The nothing
understand
verse.
how this works. It shouldn't work. It's really weird. I was gonna ask you something. I can't remember what it was.
Was it about Joker specifically, or was it just something
Yeah.
else?
I can't remember. I don't know. Hopefully it'll come to me. What I know you had lots of other things to say about references and things.
Oh, I was just yeah, like for like other world building things. I was
No,
just gonna mention their take
world
on.
building things. Yes.
I was just gonna mention their take on Mister Freeze. Was the next place I was gonna go to, which also feels like it's out of a different book in that he is like right out of a Junji Ito manga where he's like just a straight horror character. Like even we get Matches Malone there and he dies and there's a shot where it's like his face is full of holes and I was like, I know exactly what story from that they were looking at and inspired by with this. That's amazing.
Oh,
And
crazy. Well, we haven't even talked about that aspect of the art. And again, overall, I really like the art in this. I like
yeah, I do too.
this first artist more than the second. I hope the second is just a fill in. I hope this guy's coming back. But it is. It's another place where I'm surprised that I'm liking it as much as I am, but really manga inspired, like all the way around, especially in faces.
Yeah, there's like some faces here and there where it's like very manga, like the very like exaggerated face thing.
I think it works because this feels like a manga premise
Oh, sure.
in
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Like I could see a Japanese reinvention going to some of these places.
hmm That would definitely have the like Batman blowing up the building in the shape of his face.
Right, and it would have Batman living in his giant car, and
hmm
I don't
What I
actually.
liked about the building though is we always do the bat symbol where it's like we blow that into a building. I don't think I've ever seen anyone like have Batman blow his own face up into a building. And not only that, but it was straight up just the cover of Dark Knight Returns, like the trade. It was
Yes.
crazy.
Well, and then
Uh,
I'm actually looking at the full page spread right now that has the lightning bolt behind him that also does Dark Knight Returns,
oh yes, yes. Of course we do that too. You gotta do that.
and I use that for the thumbnail. I thought that was great.
Mhm. But yeah, with their Mister Freeze, he's so different in that he like has the power to like knock you out. Like he doesn't even have like a freeze thing, nor does he have to be in a suit. He's like very lanky and he's like 9 feet tall.
That's
He's
also very vintage Snyder.
oh, okay.
Like, go back and look at Bloom. He loves his lanky, crazy, tall, creepy, lumbering villains. He's obsessed with that. Uh, and he did a Mr. Freeze story that I remember not really caring for. I don't think.
Yeah, I think I
In
remember seeing that
his
video.
do you remember that that book that he was doing? I think it was at the start of Rebirth.
Oh, is that when it
All Star.
was All Star? Because he
Yeah,
did an All Star book for a bit.
yeah. There was a free story in his All Star where his Mister Freeze was also, if memory serves, kind of lanky and looked a little bit like this.
Oh, okay. Is that where we find out that he doesn't actually care about his wife or something, or like his wife isn't even a thing? Like,
I
there's, I remember there
think so.
being,
I remember it being obnoxiously retconny, and I think that's what I didn't like about it. But it's been forever.
I remember there being
I used to read
either
comics.
Snyder or Tom King, Mr. Freeze thing like retcons that stuff, but I can't remember. It's been too long.
I like that cryostasis was still involved in this, though. Like, we didn't get completely away from that because I figured it would be a reimagine, and that's why I'm really enjoying like guessing at this and having no idea where anything's going because it sort of feels like there's no rules.
Hmm. Yeah, and I like his like insane ramblings about ice and the meaning of ice.
I
He's like a
thought,
philosophical Arnold, Mr. Freeze.
that's hilarious, and it's so disturbing. And again, in that vintage Snyder way, his whole thing about you put someone in cryostasis and it preserves them, and they uh,
It's your
and
salvation.
it keeps them like they don't, sorry, I can't think, it's getting late. They're not aging, and you can thaw them out and maybe cure them of whatever their ailment is eventually, but it hurts all the way through and you can't sleep. That stuck with me. That was
Hmm.
horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that whole thing where
It's
he's like, "Oh,
freaking
my
messed
parents
up.
thought it was salvation, but it's not."
But then he's
And you live
still got them
forever
in it,
knowing it.
so retroactively, if you go back and look at that panel of his parents, it's horrifying because they're conscious. Holy crap, that's messed up.
Yeah. No, it's really cool.
I'm looking at an unrelated page right now, and then I'll get to the Mr. Freeze stuff. But I just want to mention this real quick while I'm there. I don't know how I felt about Batman kicking a kid. What was
Oh,
that?
that's cool. Well, I wasn't sure if it was a kid or if it was a little person, but I guess
Maybe it was a little person. I don't know how they got a
I couldn't
kid
tell.
to be swiping a knife at Batman. I have no idea what that is. Maybe we can assume it's not a kid because if it was, you'd think that there would be a panel of the kid going in the water, and there is water there, but we never see where the kid lands. It just flies, and that's it.
Well, he's throwing everyone off the boat at that point, so I guess he probably just flies off the off the boat.
I don't, I don't know. Hey,
No, that's cool by
real,
me.
real quick while I'm thinking about it, what did you
Yeah.
think of proto vampire Batman?
Uh oh, in that flashback
Yeah,
issue. Uh I don't know, I thought it was fine. It was one of those things where like I've seen it a million times, so like I didn't really have an opinion on it. It was just like, oh, okay, we're kind of doing this now. It was fine.
well, I thought it went a little bit farther than it usually does, where he was trying to, like it felt real throwbacky, but
Mhm.
he goes all the way to putting in fake plastic vampire teeth,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, well,
and I think he's
yeah,
actually biting people. I'm not
yeah,
totally sure about
that's
that.
weird. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
and I was a little bit surprised that he had a more like classic Batman costume before he develops into the like three times bigger than Frank Miller Batman, where he's got like a
Mhm.
regular bat symbol at some point. Snyder was making a point with that, like right.
Yeah.
Like he's talking,
Oh yeah.
like I said, meta editorial stuff. He's talking about how Batman is bloated now.
Mhm. Yeah, well, even
It's
with the
really
way Bruce
cool.
Wayne's introduced, where we start on a page that's just that year one page of he's not kicking a tree, he's kicking a punching bag, but it's that same kind of thing. And then actual Bruce Wayne walks up and he's, four times bigger than that guy who is traditional Bruce Wayne. It reminded me of the deleted opening of Kong Skull Island, where that was supposed to open on a beach and the Peter Jackson King Kong would like burst through the trees and then he would get stepped on by the King Kong of that movie. And it's like, oh, look, our King Kong's even bigger. It reminded me a lot of that.
I forgot all about that, but I've never seen it. Everybody's saying that that page where he kicks a kid is great. and I should not
Yeah,
besmirch that page. Tyler Zaya says he
everyone
says
was
he's a
sharing that.
kid. Yeah, I know, but I wasn't sure if I was supposed to believe it or if he was
He does
lying.
say
Like,
he's a kid, but I also had that where I was like, I don't know if he actually is,
I'm
though.
questioning it immediately when Batman kicks him across the page. I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of funnier if he is a kid, but I don't know.
You know what else is winning me over with his costume? Now that I'm thinking about it.
What's that?
Well, I've never been a big fan of stocky Frank Miller Batman, but I do like that we put the long ears on it. Like, I've never seen
Oh
that.
yeah,
Like,
I like
giant,
that.
bulky Batman, but big, tall ears. Like, they gave me the big thing I like, so that's nice.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know about them being knives, but them being giant, I like.
Well, he's
The
trying to make
spikes, I think,
everything.
is also kind of too much.
It's too
But
much. He's trying to make everything both goofy, over the top 90s, like you were saying, but also practical. And that's a very modern, we can't stop doing it thing where everything on Batman's suit's gotta have an explanation. He's gotta have the circle
gotta do something.
so it's a target, and now with the Batman, he's got like batarangs in his chest, and like this is taking that also to the nines. Again, everything is intentionally too big and over the top, and he's making
Yeah.
a couple statements with it. But he's got the ears that come off his knives, and he's got a cape that is a offensive weapon now.
Yeah, and that was something I
That
didn't
felt very
understand at
Spawn.
first. That was something I didn't get at first, and then as the book went on, I was like, "Oh, okay, I see what you're doing." And that's kind of interesting. Like the whole bats walk on their hands, like trying to take more of the actual visuals of a bat and applying it to Batman. And I thought that was kind of neat. It also it reminded me of like when I was a kid. I remember there's that part in Begins where Bruce has like the glove that's got like the long fingers on it, and he hits the cape and it like stiffens out.
Yep.
Or no, I think I'm mixing up two spots. But there's like a part where he like moves his hand. He's got like a weird long finger thing, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" Like I don't understand what that's supposed to be as a kid. And it kind of felt like he took that and made it like a weapon on Batman, and it was kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess he's doing that the Batman thing, or even like the White Knight thing, where he's blending a bunch of elements from different Batman things all together. But it doesn't take me out where I'm thinking about all the disparate elements while I'm reading it. It kind of
Because there's
feels
so many
all
things that aren't from any of them too.
yeah, like you're right.
Yeah.
Like it all feels of a piece, and then if you start breaking it down, you're like, I guess this is from this and this is from this, but it's not like other reimaginings like Tom Waltz Ninja Turtles or Skybound Transformers, where you know the specific places where it's all being pulled from, and then he blends it all together. It's
Mhm.
more like he's taking inspirations from things instead of lifting them. Am I right? Like, there's kind of a difference.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Batman's been around for what 80 years. Like it's just kind of there are things that he's kind of inspired by in his new reimagining.
And it's also not like those books in that they still feel like potential definitive versions of those characters, and this is supposed to be an alternative.
Yes, yes. This is not supposed to be like the definitive Batman.
But it is
When even
shockingly toyetic. You know,
sure.
can you imagine figures for this? Can you imagine the Bat Cave slash Batmobile playset? I want that thing. And like it's got a remote control and it transforms in front of you, and
Well, I want when we eventually get a Justice League in this universe, like all of those toys lined up together, where it's like you got Rob Liefeld's Batman, whose head pops off and shoots at you.
yes.
Uh, you have like a weird vampire-looking Superman. You have like God of War Wonder Woman, and then you just have a Martian Manhunter that looks like Gumby. I want to see those together, those toys.
You know, it is crazy how much Spawn is kind of in this, at least in like I don't know, physical action stuff. Like I'm looking at this and I'm going, Okay, Scott Snyder, just bring Capullo back and get McFarlane to let you write some Spawn. Like that'd be so good.
And Snyder's like, ah, man, why did Capullo have to go to Marvel?
Capullo went to Marvel. What's he doing at Marvel?
I think he's mostly been doing covers. He did a Wolverine book, like a miniseries. I think he's doing
I
like
didn't
a
know that.
giant-sized Spider-Man, I think. Or he at least did the cover for it.
I would love to see what his interiors will look like for any Marvel book. Like,
I'll show you some of his covers because they're really cool.
I bet.
And his Wolverine was one where they did like two versions of it. They did like an R-rated version and then like a censored version where they cut all the blood.
He does make a lot of sense
I
for,
haven't
for
read that.
Wolverine. I
His
like the.
Ghost Rider is
I was
amazing.
gonna say the no-brainer would be his. He gets a run on Ghost Rider. He gets a run on Blade. Like
Yeah.
no-brainers.
Yeah, I saw an interview with him where he talked about it, where he was like, the thing that kind of sucks is that I go over to Marvel and everybody goes, okay, like do that, do like, I think he even said Wolverine because like do the things that are like Batman that are like Spawn, and he's like, I would really love to do like Fantastic Four, but at the same time he was also like, I'm also just happy to do anyone at Marvel, so.
So I almost said this is a joke, and it turns out it's true. Tyler says he's drawing one of the Batman Deadpool crossovers.
Oh, okay. I saw Dan Mora was doing the DC one, so he must be doing the Marvel one.
So I had no interest in that, but then two of my favorite artists apparently drawing them, so now I'll probably look at them.
I don't know if the world is ready for Grant Morrison Deadpool though.
No, I mean, I don't know if I'll buy those, but I'll definitely read them now. That's crazy. But who did you say was doing the other one?
So the DC one is Grant
Morrison.
Morrison and Dan Mora, and then the Marvel one I guess is Greg Capullo and Zeb Wells.
Zeb Wells, that's what it is, yeah. I'm not the biggest Zeb Wells fan, so we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, but I didn't know Capullo was doing the art, so that's cool.
also, can I just say, finally DC and Marvel are playing ball together, and that's the crossover we have to start with. I mean, pretty soon they're just gonna do Amalgam again, so
I imagine this is the start of like a couple books, but it is a really weird crossover.
you gotta start with that. Like, who needs to see those two characters together?
We're gonna get like Swamp Thing and Jubilee next is the next book. Just pick people at random.
Well, no, they those characters are not popular enough for that to be the crossover because the clear choice there is just, well, Deadpool sells a lot of books and Batman sells a lot of books. And I wanted to make this point. It is annoying to me. I said this to Austin earlier today off camera. It is annoying to me how on all cylinders, or at least a lot of cylinders, DC seems to be right now, and simultaneously feels really desperate in their marketing.
Hmm.
Like, they're doing a lot
Yeah.
right now to look as desperate as they look. And what's annoying is some of the really cynical cash grab choices they're making are working. And
Mhm.
I've heard good things about that Long Halloween sequel. I didn't need another one of those. And Hush 2 seems like the most cynical possible thing you could make.
I haven't heard anybody say that they like Hush 2, though. Like, that does
But
seem like
it's,
one that people aren't digging.
yeah, but it's working. It's selling like crazy, because of course it is.
Yeah, that was always going to sell because Hush is just one of those books. I have heard people say that they like The Last Halloween. I might check it out. There's just that part of me where it's like a lot of what I love about Long Halloween is Tim Sale, so it's like there's nothing they can do. Like he's gone.
Well, they could have
I
not made it.
like
I feel like
yes.
you just don't do that. I don't know.
Well, that was what I said, but apparently, I guess that he and Loeb had talked about it for a long time. So, like, it's kind of one of those now that he's gone, like finishing it type of things.
Okay, that's a
And
little different. And I'm not even in a boycott place with it. I'm not
yeah,
mad. I just don't know that I care. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think one of the things that made me go, okay, I like that a little bit more is that every issue is a different artist and is like some sort of big artist. Like, I think Brian Bolland did an issue of that. Like I think it just kind of jumps around, and like that's
You know what
interesting, I
though?
guess.
If they said Loeb and Boland for that whole thing, I could respect that. I could respect Boland
Sure.
as a fill in
For Tim Sale.
for Tim Sale. I could see that.
Hmm.
It's the
But I
same
like,
era. They're not that far apart in style. I mean, they're different, but
yeah, they are definitely different. I think it's just that if you're going to do it, I like the idea. If it is supposed to be that tribute in that way, I like the idea that it's a bunch of different artists coming in and going, okay, here's my kind of tribute to Sale type thing. Like I don't know, I kind of like
no,
that.
that is cool. Okay. Well, I'll rescind what I said about that then. That actually sounds like it's more thoughtful and respectful than I was thinking.
But it could not be. Like
But the
that's
Hush
what
2
people
thing
told
does
me.
sound super super cynical.
Yeah, yeah, I have no
And have you seen
interest
the
in Hush
logo where they
2.
just put a 2 inside of the U?
Yes, I've been making fun of that for the longest time since they announced that.
I noticed that just today. I don't keep up anymore, so if we do new comics, I'll find myself like looking at a couple of things before we do the show, and I'm like, oh, that's what's happening right now. All right,
And Red Hood's in it, and he's got white streaks in his hair now.
really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay. Well, hey, we're at 2 hours already somehow. And we never really talked about the Arc M thing. But what other
Yes, let's
what other
take that pin
we can
out.
talk about that and just anything else that you want to talk about mythology things or anything in general with Des.
Yeah, I was trying to think. There's something big that we're missing, and it was the Arkham thing. So, Cap, what do you think of the Arkham thing?
I like the idea of it. I feel like I should turn on it because we did the silly play on words name thing that sounds so CW like Arrow Flash Smallville to me.
Well, especially when you have the list thing from Arrow, where it's like, here are the people connected to Arkham. I have a list. I can go
Yeah.
from like 1 to 1 for the people behind this.
And it's like we took the word Arkham and we made it Arc M. And it's not a asylum, it's a Black Ops prison that's being built next to Gotham. The idea of it's really cool because it's basically Arkham City instead of Arkham, and I really dig that.
And that there's multiple. Like, it is
Yes.
Arc M because there is an Arc A through at least M.
And
And just M is the one that's off of Gotham.
so that's why I'm excited about Bane, because I don't know if you caught it, but Arc A is Santa Prisca, which means
Oh, I didn't
Bane
catch that.
came from one of these.
And from the original one.
From
If
the
it's A.
original one. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, that could be really cool.
It could. And
Yeah,
you know
I
me,
did not catch that.
I love Vengeance of Bane, and so that tells us that he's going to come from a prison.
Uh-huh. Well, that makes sense then if that's what we're doing with the Arc M stuff next.
Yeah. So I do think the idea of it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and especially because, like I said, with like the kind of
So the
Bond
name thing is
connection.
silly, but it kind of works. Like it kind of works.
Yeah, I when I got to that, I was like, that feels too cutesy, but I also don't mind it. Like, it didn't jump out to me, but at the same time, I could acknowledge that it was like kind
They're
of
they're
cutesy.
just getting away with so much stuff. It's crazy.
Hmm.
What did you
But
think of
like,
Matches Malone being an actual character?
oh, I thought it was cool. He looked like Jimmy Olsen, and then he was dead.
I thought it was kind of neat that because isn't Matches Malone usually just an alias?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
do
he
we
is. I want to say we've
do we
maybe
do things
done
where he
that.
was a person?
I want to say I've maybe seen one other place that does that, but I'm struggling to remember what that is. But
Okay.
I feel like I've seen that before, but it is usually just an alias.
What I liked about it was we took the point of the alias and we made it a character.
Yes,
So
that's what I liked about it
it's
too.
neat. So Matches Malone is an undercover guy that really gets off on going to places he's not supposed to be and pretending to be somebody else. And when when Bruce goes undercover, that's the alias he uses. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't, as a tribute to this guy, start actually doing that in this continuity.
Well, Tyler says that he usually is a real person first,
I
so
didn't
maybe
know
that
that.
is just how that is normally, and I just didn't know that. Yeah.
Maybe so. But I
Oh,
wonder if we
okay.
usually do it like this, where he is what Bruce is pretending he is. Like, I thought that was cool.
I don't know if this Bruce Wayne can pretend to be Jimmy Olsen, but
Nobody can use the name. Like,
no, I know. Just has to make sure he meets nobody who knows the original guy.
I don't know that I needed everything about his name to be on his person. He had like a big M on his shirt, and then he had like a fire tattoo on his neck. Like, it's a little much.
And then Harvey walks in. He's like, he actually has two tattoos. You just gotta turn to the other side of his face. Flip that coin.
Flip that coin. Uh, they should just kill Harvey off in the next issues so that we don't have to listen to any more Two-Face puns.
And then his sister will be Two-Face. So it'll be
Oh, they're gonna do
Earth
the.
One Two-Face all over again.
They're
Yeah,
gonna do Lex squared.
and just Earth One Two-Face. They both did that for some reason.
Oh, I forgot about that. They did. I just
Yeah,
really liked that dichotomy idea, I guess.
yeah, because Harvey and I think it's Jessica Dent. They're twins, and one of them dies. And the evil Two-Face identity is Harvey Dent's personality, where like she takes his personality and that's her evil side.
This has me wanting to go back and read several of these reimagining things. Like, it made me want to go back to Year One and White Knight and
Yeah, I still need to read White Knight. I'll have to because I think we have to do one of the sequels on Request at some point.
oh, I forgot that that was on the list. Yeah,
So I'll have to read that original first. But I've heard it's great.
it's wonderful, and I've not read the sequels.
Hmm.
It was the kind of thing that I could kind of see being a universe, but I didn't really need more of it. And I hope it's all great because I didn't need that to keep going.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll read it at some point.
Yeah, Sean Murphy seems like a cool guy.
Okay, what else did we talk about?
Um, do you think we will get any like sidekick stuff? Like, do you think we will have a Barbara that becomes a Batgirl, or do you think she will just remain a cop? Do you think we'll get a Robin?
Boy, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I didn't even think of it. Like, this is such a standalone kind of Batman. Uh,
Yeah,
it
I
should have occurred.
imagine we'll
And I mean, obviously, we
see.
have a Barbara Gordon, and like you're wondering that when you
Yeah,
first see her, like, will she ever be Batgirl? But if it runs long enough, I'm sure eventually we'll get to all that stuff. But
hmm,
I would imagine everything probably starts independent of Batman.
yeah, I could see Jason Todd showing up as part of the like Red Hood gang that they mention. I
Sure.
could see that just being how we do him. Like even if he is a younger character like he is originally, and even if we do a death of Jason Todd here, like I could still see that being his starting place instead of a Robin.
I could also see sidekicks being a thing where we have the regular character or a regular character for somebody that's a red herring, and then we promote somebody else to a Robin or a Batgirl. Like, what if Alfred's daughter is Batgirl instead of Barbara Gordon?
Like Batman and Robin, yeah.
Something like that. Oh yeah, it would be that.
It's not his daughter in that, but yeah, basically.
Now I
Our
hope
mother
that's what they
Peg.
do. That'd be great.
That'd be great. I could see Huntress working really well
Oh
in the
sure,
series. She's probably the one that makes the most sense.
I agree with
Like
that.
just in terms of what you know you could like immediately see being reinvented for this. The other question I had for you, Cap, is
Yeah.
what villains would you like to see reinvented in this world?
Um, let me think for a minute. I mean, I'm always gonna say Clock King. I'm always
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
I'm always gonna say Clock King. And you got Mayor Hill here right away.
There's also that guy at the town meeting that looks like Jervis Tetch, and he talks about.
Oh, crazy.
I think he runs a tailor business. But then he like mentioned something specifically about time, and when he said that, I was like, "Oh, Cap's gonna be like, it's Clock King."
Yeah, Chewbacca's lover. We know that Batgirl's Alfred's niece and Batman and Robin.
Yeah, I was like, "That's coming." I gotta mention that he's not
It's
his
not his daughter. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like more kind of outside picks because this does. I think this is another place where Snyder is speaking to how like bloated and overdone Batman is, where he goes, I everybody expects this grand cast of characters. I like the villains are almost more popular than Batman himself these days. So many reimaginings or even just big Batman stories have to get all the villains in. So he goes, how can I do that in a, a way that I doesn't throw a bunch of bad guys at Batman at once. I'll throw all the villains in, but they won't be villains, and maybe some of them will never be villains. So like some of the things I would be curious to see how he would reinvent here. We already have the seeds of it because obviously Riddler is my favorite villain, and we're probably gonna get this AI villain, which is a cool take. And by the way, his riddles for his Riddler are pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it reminded me of like the Arkham City, or I guess you get that in Arkham Knight, but like you get those robots in Arkham City, and then the Riddler robots in Knight.
I forgot
But
about
it reminded
that.
me of that, yeah. Um, and then I just had a moment where I was like, oh, like I could see just that being their take on the Riddler, because when it first popped up, I was like, okay, that's the robot in Forever, right? Like that's the reason that he becomes the Riddler. But now, because we're so willing to go off the norm, I could see it just being like an Ultron thing.
So I have a weird answer to this. The more I'm thinking about it, I because I mean, like, I can go to the usual suspects. Like, what is his Hugo
Yeah.
Strange going to be? What is his
Well,
Clayface
like
going to
all the
be?
usual suspects are here, which is why I thought to ask you that, because it's like a real curveball. Because now you have to think
But
of
even the
people who
usual
aren't
suspects that aren't, like, we always go to Hugo Strange and Clayface, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised that we didn't open with a Clayface because he's so everywhere right now. It's kind of refreshing he's not here yet.
Well, he was probably going to be my answer, but
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
And I'm
That's
not saying I
fair.
don't want him. I'm just he can be in the very next arc, but I kind of like that we didn't open with him. He can
Yeah,
be an
that's fair.
arc M. But anyway,
When I like to be open with Black Mask because he so rarely gets love.
and also we're getting Bane next, and that probably would have been my answer. But
Sure.
let me throw you the weirdest suggestion that nobody else would ever say.
Film Freak and/or Orca.
I almost said Film Freak as a joke. You know what I want? And I'm not saying this is a prediction, but I actually could see him thinking of this. I want multiple Catwomans.
Oh, okay.
I think that could be really cool because we have a Selena here that I don't see ever being even the film fatale back and forth version. I think it would be really cool if you brought in like a Eartha Kitt Catwoman and you did a cool 60s homage where you had multiple but simultaneous Catwoman. Because I've
Interesting. Yeah.
never seen that done.
It could maybe be an interesting idea to have Selena like run a group of Catwomen.
Sure, that's a cool idea.
Hmm.
Oh, and also Azrael. What does he look like in this?
What does Asbats look like in a world where this is Batman? Like, what is the to the insane image '90s version of Batman to this Batman?
Well, I mean, he has to be like Violator level at that point, right? Like he's grinding up his villains. He's taking their hearts out of their chest.
Well, I just imagine like a Batman who's like bottom jaws like way out here.
RJ Godzilla mentions Egghead. I do think it would be cool to go to a original '60s villain for this too.
Yeah, that's the type of thing I could see them doing as
But
like a joke.
I
But it
always
would
want
be
that in
interesting to
stuff.
see.
It wouldn't have to be a joke though. You could do a really scary like
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I would be interesting to see that if it wasn't though.
yeah, or
Mm.
we do like a Chief O'Hara, but he's a bad guy. Something crazy like that.
Maybe he can replace Bullock.
Yeah, maybe so. Or you have you know what you could do with Bullock. I just keep thinking of like outside things that become uh, villains that wouldn't usually. You could have a Bullock that becomes Lockup or something.
Okay, yeah, that'd be interesting.
I don't know. This just has my
Lockup, I could see Lockup being like a villain they used for Arkham.
yeah, that's true too. This has my imagination kind of running away with itself. Because again, there are kind of no rules.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that seems to be something just with this line. Like are no rules. You don't even have to play with the supporting cast of your book. Like you can bring in other characters
Like Bibbo.
like Bibbo. Exactly. You could have Toyman just be a villain
A Batman
of
villain.
this Batman. Like, yeah, exactly.
You could have Clock King not be a Green Arrow villain. Oh wait.
Oh.
Well, are you good to wrap it up?
Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to mention?
Yeah. No, I feel like we've hit pretty much
We
everything.
were
Oh,
pretty
sorry.
thorough.
Chewbacca's lover threw out a super chat. So we
Thank
should
you.
knock that
I
out, and then
forgot we
Dan
hadn't
Schneider said the obvious one
read
for
that yet.
me, and I
Scarecrow.
don't know how it didn't come to my mind, but it's Scarecrow, my favorite Batman villain. I don't know how that one missed me.
Any guesses about how he would reimagine that?
I'm shocked he's not on that list for Arkham.
Yeah, because
Because that would be like the most obvious place to put
one
him.
of them was Langstrom.
Yes. Yeah, it was Langstrom, Isley, Freeze.
There was
And that
somebody
might be
else.
it.
Was Strange. Hugo Strange was on that list.
Oh, yes. Yes, and Strange. No, given what Mr. Freeze looks like I have to imagine this Scarecrow would be insane, horrifying.
Yeah, I don't even know what the background would be. It's funny because Gotham did a legacy Scarecrow if memory serves. I think there's like
Oh, I think I remember that.
you remember that? It was sort of like this, where it was like his kid,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I remember that.
which is really weird in a prequel. But yeah, it's really interesting to me how much Gotham is in this. We didn't really talk about that, but uh, you've got a Bruce and Selina that are kind of an item even as children,
Hmm.
and she is in the foster system like she is in Gotham, and I think they did that in that show, and she is irritated with him anytime he pities her for that. But it's a little bit more endearing here because he's not a rich kid. So like that dynamic is real different. But if memory serves, because I haven't watched that show in a long time, and I mostly hate that show, but if memory serves in that show, I think she refers to him as Wayne a lot, and that's in this.
Oh, okay, I don't remember. That sounds right, though, when you say it.
So I do think he's directly looking at that show.
Mhm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it was a big show. Like, it lasted, what, 5 seasons?
You know
Uh,
what else the kid villains reminds me of? Do you
what's that?
remember the animated pitch that ended up not going to series that was like Gotham High or something?
Yes.
Did
Yes,
you
I do
were
remember
you
that.
thinking about that with this?
No, but that's one of those things where I know it exists, but like if unless somebody references it, like it just kind of disappears. But the second you say it, it's like, oh yeah, I remember
The
that now.
concept art has always stuck with me
Sure,
because they
yeah.
put out
Well, I
concept
mean,
art for that.
when you mention it, the like that is the thing that pops up in my head is that concept art. It's just not something I think about.
And that was supposed to be all those characters in high school together, like a Bruce Wayne that pals around with a like kid Poison Ivy and a kid Catwoman and a kid Harvey Dent and all of that. And I don't know if he was thinking about that with this, but it's that concept.
Yeah. Oh, I also got to mention the funniest thing with that Catwoman scene. because Bruce Wayne's very sad. He's like, I don't want my friends to be near me. Like my dad just died. It's that
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is dead. Now he's Batman. Kind of a thing that we do a lot, right? And Selina's like, "Oh, Bruce, like, come with me." And she like wakes him up in the middle of the night, and they're like jumping from rooftop to rooftop, and they go over a like a tightrope, like over two really far buildings, and they go into a movie theater, and all of his friends are there, and they all watch Zorro together.
Yes.
But then we pan back, and Martha's in the
His
back of the
his
theater
mom's there.
because she was the one that was like just trying to get him out of the house. But, but then it just made me think like, oh, but does she know that like that's how he got here? They're like jumping on rooftops.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
I thought that was really funny.
that is really funny. Yeah, what did you?
I thought that was a very sweet moment.
It
Like I
was
said, I
it was a
think
sweet
Martha is
scene.
wonderful in this book.
Yo, she's great. And did you like the idea, uh, of like including the Zorro thing, even though that's not where they go when they die? Like, I was really surprised that was even there.
Yeah, I thought that was neat. It was like it was a cute reference. I like that Waylon sits down and he's like, "Oh, black and white."
Yeah, like we're all gonna watch this dumb movie. Well, and that's great foreshadowing for the intervention later. Where
Yes,
like
that
as
is true.
kids they do this wonderful thing for their friend, even though they don't care at all about this movie. And then when you think they're all gonna turn on him, they show how supportive they are, and they're just trying to understand him. It's I don't know, it's real endearing,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that'll help turn the knife when some of these characters, turn later. But again, I really hope they don't. I should have mentioned this earlier. One slight worry I have, and I don't think Snyder will do this. There could be this formulaic thing where one by one Joker just brainwashes them all and turns them villains kind of like superficially. I really hope that doesn't happen with all of them. That's going to happen with Waylon. That needs to be the only one.
It needs to not be two things. It needs to not be like one by one, like story by story. Each one becomes the villain they are, and it needs to not be they all become the villain like around the same time. It needs to not be both of those.
But I
And I
think
hope
he's
that Snyder is
already,
smart enough to not do that.
and I think he's promised us they won't all be villains at the same time by doing the intervention the way he did it.
Hmm.
Because that was
Yeah,
that red
that makes
herring
sense.
where it's like, oh, they're all gonna hate him for being Batman, and then they're gonna be this big like we hate Bruce Wayne cabal. Like I thought it was gonna be five Lex Luthor times five, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. Also with Martha, I really like the scene where she talks to Gordon, and I think it's to Gordon, and she's like, "Oh, Bruce was like when he was a kid, like everything that was in his world was like mine to know. Like everything that he ever thought was like immediately said to me. And then Thomas died, and like that immediately shut off, and he became a completely like closed off person.
Yeah,
And I
that's really
thought that was
sad.
a really sad scene.
Well, and this is a Batman that has no confidants until
Yeah.
Alfred finally joins him, and so far there it's just a strictly working relationship, and he just refers to him as Pennyworth. He probably doesn't even know how much he can trust him for sure. I mean,
Mhm.
if you think about it, the Alfred relationship so far is the Gordon relationship.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. Because even, we talked about the Black Mask thing, where Batman, it looks like Batman's going to take that deal with him. Alfred's like, look, that's what you do. You take the money. Like my job works out, your job works out. He leaves. Like it works out for
We'll
everybody.
get him on the back end.
We'll get him on the back end, exactly. And that's obviously not how Batman works. Uh, but like,
But
Alfred's not.
Snyder does a good job making us think Batman might actually do that initially.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And then he turns it around and he
That's
does
it's
the
one of the
Joker
best
thing and he
moments.
sets all the money on fire. It's fantastic.
And it's the bat signal, and it's awesome because it's the bat signal, and it slowly burns off in a scene where like Batman's being destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the moment he thought it was, where like, oh, now you have the signal, like this is my city, get out. they completely destroy him, and as they do that, the signal is slowly leaving,
That's such a
and
good point.
by the time they throw him off the building, it's gone.
Yeah, like I was talking about the optimism of you forget he's cutting off people's hands. I was talking about the optimism of how Batman is seeing himself as a symbol first, and you get to and Black Mask has the whole speech about how he's not a hero, and then you get to the second arc, and immediately the city is after Batman. Like they're like now that Black Mask is gone, they're seeing him as the next greatest threat, and so it's not the inspirational ending of the Batman where he starts his vengeance and then he becomes a symbol and he's embraced by at least some of the populace. Here he starts as I want to be a symbol and nobody embraces him.
No, he's basically rejected.
Nicholas Bodo, maybe he's so brutal because he has no confidant, or because he's just a 90s image character.
Like I said, it makes him much darker that he's that violent, and then just goes home to his mom.
He just, yeah, no, Nicholas Bodo, that could work as the reason, and he would need somebody to kind of talk him down. The problem is he seems to me like a different character out of costume. I don't know if you're having that, but like whenever he's just Bruce Wayne and he's got like the boyish face and he's just talking about what he's doing, he doesn't seem like the same guy that's almost sadistic about the brutality. And this is a Batman that's more quippy and has more fun in the costume.
Yeah, well, I think it's because he's like a blue collar working man. So like that's also where you have that kind of again, he kind of looks like Tim Sale, Clark Kent to me. So he almost kind of has that some of that energy to him, where he takes the costume off, and he's just like a working guy. And then he puts on the Batman suit, and he's insane.
Well, it sounds like this whole line you could rename, and I haven't read the other ones yet, but it sounds like this whole line you could rename to Blue Collar Batman and Blue Collar Superman and
Blue Collar Superman absolutely would fit.
Absolute Blue Collar Superman.
Absolutely. I don't know about Wonder Woman or
Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter. It might work with Green Lantern.
Blue Collar Flash.
Yes, but Superman is absolutely Blue Collar Superman.
Blue Collar Superman. But Blue Collar Batman just rolls off the tongue. You got the alliteration.
Exactly. Blue Collar Wonder Woman just sounds weird. It's like I don't know about that.
She's a cashier at a.
Didn't we do something like that in like either the mid '90s or like maybe at some point in the 2000s, where she had like a real weird, like mundane job like that?
Well, I thought that's what Denny O'Neil did to her, and everybody got mad.
Oh yeah, it was one of those things that everyone was mad about. I forgot it was Denny O'Neil.
But that was in the 70s, or maybe it was like mid 80s or something. Maybe it wasn't the 70s. Maybe it was in the 80s.
Oh, okay,
but...
so I thought it was post Crisis.
Because didn't he like? I think it was, and I think it was an attempt to reinvent her and make her less powerful, like we did with Superman after Crisis, but it wasn't successful. And he even apologized for it later. He's like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I think he like took her powers away. And...
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's why Blue Collar Wonder Woman doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing. Maybe she's just working at a Macy's.
I want to say she was. Yeah, it was something like that, or like she was like a cashier or something. Like it was like a real weird choice. But yeah, we were starting to wrap up, and then we immediately
just
jumped straight more like into things.
Well, how dense is this?
Yeah, that is really nice.
And it's a quick read, especially for Snyder. I've never read a 6-issue Snyder book that went this twice as fast. That's maybe part of the other reason that I loved this, was it didn't take all day, and I didn't have to read pages and pages of a... Sorry, this is one more point I want to make. I didn't have to read pages and pages of an anecdotal story that is an obvious metaphor for something. He really streamlines that whole business with this. You mentioned the thing with Black Mask and the slaughtering the pig story. That is a very like classic Snyder move. But what he used to do with that is he'd make you read like 4 pages of it,
Mm.
and you'd get like snippets of flashback. And here it's almost like he's making fun of himself, where like we get that story and then it's all a lie, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I've more to add to that, but I guess because it's what the topic is, that's what the last super chat is. So we might as well knock that out.
Thanks for keeping me on track with these.
No, it's okay because it fits in with what we're talking about, so we might as well knock it out.
Yeah, Chewbacca's 1150 super chat. This is the only Scott Snyder thing I liked. The only thing I didn't even like Court of the Owls. I guess Zero Year is also good.
Yeah, Zero Year is probably my favorite Snyder Batman thing. I really like it. But because we did that, what was it called? Like The Last Night on Earth, I think.
Just the antithesis to this review. We didn't hate that, but we had so many complaints.
That video, like, I felt like wrong in my gut for like a week after. I don't know if we talked about that, but after that, like I felt bad for Snyder, where I was like, yeah, I really didn't like that book, but like I like Snyder. Like I felt bad that like that's how hard it was, but like I really didn't think that book worked. And I immediately after that went and read one of his creator-owned books because I needed that reminder of like, no, I do like this person.
Yeah.
Like we were really harsh.
Well, to be fair though,
like
his Batman has always been hit and miss to me.
No, of course.
And
that's
that
what I was going to say. Like,
kind of that was a rough wrap up. I mean, it's nice that it's out of continuity, because it wasn't that like Black Label and it doesn't exactly count, but it's basically a wrap up. Kind of the same thing as we had with King, and to a lesser degree Three Jokers was like that. Like,
yeah, and I do like that with Black Label you do have a thing where we have like end points where, oh, you really like this writer, well now they can go and do Black Label and do their ending for the character. I like that. Like I hope that gets to continue.
Isn't it kind of sad that Black Label didn't exist when New 52 started and Morrison had to wrap up his Batman in the middle of a reboot, where there's things that get retconned but he's still trying to finish his run for Batman Incorporated? Like, Black Label would have been perfect for that.
I didn't even think of that, but that is a good call. But no, with all that, I just wanted to say, even while this is a book where I don't think all the choices are for me specifically, like I do think Snyder is is firing on all cylinders. Like he knows what this book is, and he's doing it to the best that it can be.
I'm just allowing myself to be completely brainwashed by this. Like, I hate a lot of things in it on paper, and then it works, and so now I'm a fan of it. I mean, you know me, I get giddy about stuff that's outside my wheelhouse and that I don't really care for generally, and then it's done so well it makes me a fan of it. And that's what I've got with this. I can see myself becoming a gigantic fan of this, and I hate everything about it.
Yeah,
I'm being hyperbolic. I don't, but I should.
Yeah, and I think I appreciate it more too while we talk about it. Where the positives come out more than the things that don't work for me.
Oh, everybody's saying that I'm wrong about Denny O'Neil, Wonder Woman, and she was a not blue collar. She was a secret agent who did karate. That's what it was.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, we're thinking of two different times where we did weird things with Wonder Woman.
So she did not work at a JCPenney in that. Okay.
No, I do remember they did that as well. Okay. Oh, thank you, Tyler says. He actually breaks down what we're both thinking of. So in the 60s, we do the power thing where she's a spy. And then in the 90s, she works at a Taco Bell, which is what I was thinking of.
Oh my God, she actually works at a Taco Bell?
Yeah, I remembered it was like something weird like that.
I'm gonna read the Wonder Woman where she works at a Taco Bell. That's exciting.
Why would you do that?
Now I'm gonna go look it up right after this. I have to know. I want to see what it looks like. I have to know what Wonder Woman working at a Taco Bell looks like. Chewbacca's Lover, I had the same reaction as Cap where it won me over, and it was even better than something I would have expected to like. What Cap's saying is almost verbatim my reaction.
That's awesome. No, and I think a lot of people are really loving this.
I'm
I
giddy
haven't
about it because
I haven't really heard anyone that's like dissenting
yeah,
about any of this stuff. It is just kind of firing on all cylinders for everyone, I think.
it just works. Oh, that sounds awful. That Ty Zaya says they called it Taco Whiz.
Oh,
I how does a business called that stay open? That sounds
so
dirty. Like
I have always called Taco Bell meat whiz because it's the meat equivalent of cheese whiz. So I feel like me and whoever writer was on that are on a similar wavelength. We get it.
dude, I like no ill will toward my parents, but I grew up with a lot of fast food and I grew up liking Taco Bell, and now I look at that stuff and I'm like, if you put that in your body, you hate yourself. Like
I remember because I've always hated Taco Bell, and then I went with a girl that I liked in high school to Taco Bell, and I walked in, I was like, "Oh man, Taco Bell's great! Like, what have I been doing all this time? I was completely wrong." And then I went back like a week later on my own, and I was like, "Oh, no, Taco Bell does suck."
it's funny
I was
how
clearly,
I guess it was the
yeah,
company. I don't know.
yeah, it's one of those things.
Did you say it was somebody you were trying to date or
Yeah, it was like somebody I had a crush on, so I'm like, "Oh wait,
everything
yeah,
tastes
Taco Bell is
better
great."
with chicks you're trying to
Exactly.
date? Yeah.
Exactly, the tinted goggles that are also knives.
It's really funny that you had that with food because like you watch a lot of things like that where it's like, oh, this was really fun with people but not by yourself, and then you like eat something you're like, that tasted great with other human beings around. Now that I'm eating it on my own, it's not
That's
very
just
good.
sad. That's just sad. I'm gonna Taco Bell alone. This sucks.
Let's answer one more question real quick. Nicholas Bodo, do you guys
Yeah,
think all the villains of the series will be working for Joker, or will Freeze branch off onto his own? I think Freeze was the character that promises we will branch off and do other things. I think that was kind of maybe the point of that because he's not related to the Joker stuff, or is he? And I'm not
he
remembering
he
it.
is in that he's in that list of people that worked on the Arc M
Oh,
project.
that's
It's
true.
just it's just that we don't know what his involvement was. So what could be, he came in and added one thing to the prison and then left.
Well, hang on. Like, here's a question: how long has his parents been in stasis? Because it's possible that his dad did that,
That's true too.
and
That is true.
that it wasn't him because it was Doctor Victor Freeze, and he's Victor Freeze Jr. And I don't know that he is a Doctor Victor Freeze.
Yeah, no, that's a very good call. Either way, the
I was paying
sense that
attention.
I got is that he's probably not working with Joker
I don't think
anymore if
he
he
is.
was.
Yeah, he seems to
Yeah.
totally have his own motivation.
There was a connection there, but it's not, he's not working for Joker.
Okay, we should get going. We're past 2.5 hours. Appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot for watching. And I'm not sure what we'll do next for the vault, but it probably won't be a Batman thing. I guess it's my turn to pick. I don't know what I'll do yet. Might go back to Ninja Turtles, or I might do something else. I don't know yet.
Cool. I know what my pick is, but
I'm
I'm
really
excited to see what yours is.
I'm really suddenly on a comic kick right now. So there's like a lot of stuff. I, there's a part of me that almost wants to stay in newer DC, but I gotta check and see what stuff is finished because I really want to read that new Resurrection Man book.
Oh yeah,
And you've never read that character, so we could do the first arc of the original. That's
yeah, that'd be cool.
I've never reviewed that, and like it'll get 5 views, but I kind of want to talk about it at and I'd love to have you read it and see what you think of it. And
Yeah,
you'll probably crush me. You probably won't like it, but
I don't know. I could like it. I don't know.
I say that
Don't be
I'm not.
so defeatist.
I I say that because It's one of those things that I don't go back to all the time, and I don't know super how well it holds up. But I mean, it's a very late '90s book. But
Yeah. Well, my next thing will be like kind of connected to something that popped up, which is my next thing will be the post-crisis Wonder Woman origin.
oh, cool.
Yeah, because you've done, I think, both of the other two Trinity, right? You've reviewed. I know you've reviewed Man of Steel, but I think you've done year one at this point.
Um, yes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Resurrection Man is also Abnett, who you often like. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
think it's
I don't think I've ever.
I think it's Abnett
No, I
apart
guess
from
I've read his
Lanning.
other stuff. Yeah, well, I had to think about it. I guess I have read other things that he's done, but no, I'm excited to read that.
No, Bob the Hunt. I know I did the first issue when I was doing a bunch of solo issues, but I've never talked about it past that.
We're only gonna do issue two.
But that's true. I did do the first issue. I didn't feel the need to bring that up, but I haven't talked about like a whole arc of it. Anyway, thanks guys. We
Yeah.
appreciate you, and we'll see you again real soon. Once again tomorrow night, Austin and I are gonna do a blind commentary on 1943 Batman. That serial. We'll see how far we get. I don't know if we'll watch all of it, but
Yeah, for sure.
we're gonna
It'll
watch
be
it.
fun. I've never seen any of that, so
Yeah, we're gonna go in totally blind. I mean, I know a couple things about it, but thanks, guys.
yeah, I don't even know anything. But see ya,
Cool.
everybody.
I'm excited for you to see it then. Uh, I hope you guys enjoyed the show and tell us what you thought of Absolute Batman in the comments. See you later, folks. Bye, everybody.
See ya.